If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 41, On Your. Asta and Klaus continued to bicker for a while, and after some time both of them got breathless, making them stop for a bit. As far as I know there should be one more person with you. Where is your senior? Asked Klaus. Hearing that, both Asta and Noel stiffened up. There is no way we can say that luck just ditched us here, though both of them. We separated ways because our senior, who is also a great censor, felt something odd in the dungeon and decided to look into it. Though he didn't want us to ditch the mission and asked us to continue without him, for a while. Said Sek as he looked at Klaus, making the glasses wearing mage serious as well. Something odd? What could it be, thought Klaus, but just kept it at the back of his mind. He didn't want to ponder much on something that is being done by the Black Bulls and just snorted. Whatever, just don't get in our way. Said Klaus, and said some more insulting things about the Black Bulls, making Asta bicker with him once again. I really don't know how there isn't a rebellion yet against the nobles. Muttered Sek as he looked at Asta and Klaus. He then looked at his pocket and saw Secret, who looked back at him and shrugged her wings. Sek sighed and talked with Mimosa for a bit before Klaus interrupted them and called out Mimosa. Mimosa replied to him with a smile and used her magic, making a plant appear near her and a projection of the dungeon appearing over it. Sek glanced at the map and noticed that it only showed the paths of the dungeon and not the traps or layout of the structures. It's just a rough sketch, but still it's good in times like this, thought Sek, and then looked at his familiar and asked, but why use the map when you have G.P.S, right, Secret? Secret, who didn't understand what Sek meant by that word, just nodded her head and jumped on top of his shoulder. Humph, you know, said Klaus as wind started gathering below the members of the Golden Dawn, and the three of them rode small tornadoes to get back to exploring the dungeon. Seeing them leave into the cave, Sek smirked and took out his shades. All right, let's get going as well, we need to win, right? Said Sek as his grimoire started flipping pages. Bronze creation magic, bronze rider and sidecar. And immediately Sek's bike with a sidecar appeared in front of him. Seeing the bike, Secret took out her shades from Sek's pocket as well and put them on and sat on the bike. Seeing his familiar sitting on the bike, Sek shook his head with a wry smile on his face and sat on the bike and gestured his friends to get in as well. The two of them nodded their heads, though they felt a bit scared as they knew how fast Sek usually drives, but despite that they still decided to sit on the bike since they wanted to defeat the Golden Dawn members. Once all of them were seated, with Noel occupying the sidecar and Asta sitting behind him, Sek channeled his magic power to the bike and immediately went forward. Way! Said both Noel and Asta as they tightly held the sides of the bike so as to not fall down. Yeah! Make some noise! Said Sek as he heard Asta and Noel's excited shouts. Secret, as if encouraging him, raised her wings while sitting in his pocket with her shades on. Soon Sek notices the Golden Dawn members, who looked back at them with shocked look on their faces. All right guys, look to the right and smile. Said Sek, hearing which both Noel and Asta shut their mouth and looked towards their left with a smirk on their faces. The closer Sek got to the Golden Dawn members, his speed slowed down and finally he came close to the Golden Dawn members. He looked at Klaus and smirked, making the glasses wearing noble frown a bit, and said, on your left. And immediately increased his speed, leaving behind the Golden Squad. That bastard! Said Klaus as he clutched his fists in anger as he looked at Sek's bike going forward at full speed. Yuno and Mimosa looked at their senior for a while before they turned to look at Sek's figure, which was getting smaller and smaller. Oi! Sek! Said Asta. Where are we heading to? Do you know where the treasure chamber is? I don't, but Secret can lead us. Said Sek. But this direction? Said Noel. Yeah, we are going to get luck too, you must have felt them by now as well, right? Asked Sek while looking at Noel. Noel nodded her head and gulped her saliva. She could tell by the mana around her that a fight was going on near them and luck was there as well. Stopping his motorcycle a bit further away, Sek and the others got off it and Sek dispelled his magic. Hey, why aren't we going on that? We can reach him faster, right? Asked Asta. Yes, but it will also notify the enemy about us coming towards them and we won't be able to ambush the enemy if we need to. Said Sek, making Asta complain for a bit, saying that magic knights don't ambush others, which earned him a lecture from the royal Tsundere. Finally getting what they wanted into Asta's head, the Black Bull's rookies started moving towards the location where they felt Luck's mana from. Chapter 42, Lotus. Sek and the Black Bull rookies soon reached the room where they could feel the fluctuations of mana, except for Asta. All three of them really peeked inside the room and saw Luck trying to attack a middle-aged man with back hair and being surrounded by smoke. Sek looked at Luck, who was not even able to land a single hit on the Diamond Kingdom mage, and then said, Luck is at a disadvantage, and it seems like that man has a debuff type magic as well, since Luck is moving so slow. So that's why Luck was moving so slow in a fight? I thought Miss Vanessa made him drink some booze which is making him wobble like that. Said Asta. How the can you call that slow? Said Noelle as she looked at the fight where she cannot follow Luck's movements at all. Now then, let's think of a way to hell, said Sek, but before he was able to, Asta jumped down and took out his sword. And there goes the idiot. Said Sek as he looked at the mana-less boy. That idiot Bakista. Said Noelle with an annoyed tone. What should we do now? Asked Noelle as she looked at Sek. Well, seeing that the idiot had gone straight ahead, let's do the same as well, no need to sneak attack now. Said Sek as he grabbed Noelle like a sack and jumped down as well. Hey! What the hell are you doing? Said Noelle in an angry and embarrassed tone. Shut up or I will drop you. Said Sek as his grimoire started flipping pages. Bronze creation magic, helping hands. Soon a large amount of mana gathered near Sek, getting the attention of both Luck and the Diamond Kingdom mage as they looked at Sek. Good grief, more black bulls and youthful ones and that! Said the Diamond Kingdom mage. Oray! Yelled Asta, who appeared above the Diamond Kingdom mage with his sword ready to smash the guy. My, that's a huge sword you have there, said the Diamond Kingdom mage as he jumped back and avoided the sword. Boom! Just as the sword crashed on the ground, a huge crater formed there, making the Diamond Kingdom mage looked at Asta with a deadpan expression on his face. He was about to hit me with that. Sek, who was now standing on top of a huge hand's palm with Noelle beside him, looked at black-haired man and said, Mosquito killer. Just as Sek yelled the name, another huge hand made of his bronze magic appeared above the Diamond Kingdom mage and smashed towards the ground. Seriously, what's with smashing elderly to the ground? Sigh youth these days. Said the black-haired man as his grimoire flipped and a thick cloud of smoke appeared around him, slowed the huge hand, giving him enough time to dodge the attack. Would you do me a favor and let this old man catch his brie? Giant's flick. Said Sek as both him and Noelle descended to the ground while still being on top of the palm. The other hand, which was near the old man, immediately flicked its finger, sending the old man flying. You all right, Luck? Asked Sek as he came to the ground and deactivated his magic, making the giant hands disappear. Luck, who was yelling at Asta for interrupting his fight and was attacked by his protagonist's talk magic, had a change in his heart and looked at Sek with a smile on his face. Yeah, I am fine. I was just about to defeat him but you interrupted me. Said Luck. Sek just shrugged his shoulders and said, you were taking too much time. It's only been 30 minutes though since I left. Said Luck. Yar, you really don't show mercy to this old man. I have 3 daughters to take care of at home, you know. Said the Diamond Mage as he stood up with some blood coming out of his mouth. Then you should take care of them and stay back at home, old man. These days people are not that good, who knows what can happen to them in your absence. Said Sek as he looked at the black-haired man. By the way, what's your name? Asked Sek. Thanks for your advice, and you should introduce yourself first before asking others about their name. My name is Lotus, from the Diamond Kingdom, a kind and peace-loving old man. Said Lotus as he looked at Sek. You can call me the Dark Lord. Said Sek as he walked beside Asta and smacked his head. Ow! Who the hell told you to jump just like that? Said Sek as he looked at the monoless idiot. Said Asta. Humph, can't you just use your brains for once and not just run into a fight? Said Noel as he looked at Asta. Said Asta, totally shocked hearing what his friends said. Haha, well, it was fine though. It's good to jump into fights. Said Luck. Luck. Said Asta with a grateful look on his face as he glanced at Luck. Don't encourage the idiot. Said Sek as he looked at the old man who suddenly slammed his hand on the ground. Smoke creation magic, prison of the fallen king. Smoke suddenly started to surround the black bowl, seeing which Sek narrowed his eyes and looked at the old man. Well, you made the old man get serious, you know. Said Lotus. And you made a huge mistake by making the Dark Lord a bit serious. Bronze creation magic, swords strike. Multiple swords appeared behind Sek and shot forward towards Lotus, who immediately made some smoke clouds and hid inside it to dodge the attack. Arg! Yelled the old man from behind the smoke. Looks like he got hit by one of them. Said Sek as he and his teammates got surrounded by the smoke. Asta and the others tried to push away the smoke but soon realized that it was not just normal smile and that it was solid. Even Asta's anti-magic was not working since the smoke immediately shifted to cover up for the lost smoke. Well then, farewell youths of the Black Bulls. It was nice meeting you all. Especially you Dark Lord Kun. Said Lotus from behind the tower of smoke. Sek, who heard the sound, turned his head to look towards the direction from where the sound came from and said, "Where are you going?" Asked Sek. Well, I need to finish my mission soon and go back to my daughters. After all, I cannot leave them back at him alone for a long time, right? Sek, who was now sure from where the sound came from, smirked and said, "Yeah, right." And took out his sword. Extend, said Sek, making the sword's blade lengthen, and then looked at the others. Run at full speed once the path get clear. The three of them nodded, seeing which Sek rapidly moved his hands, cutting through a huge chunk of the smoke wall, dispersing the smoke and making a path for them. Retract. No time to waste. Said Sek as him, Asta and Luck shot forward at full speed, leaving behind the royal lime dust. Hey! Yelled Noelle as she was left behind, and immediately Sek's scared gear tentacles wrapped around her and pulled her out. Don't leave like that, old man, you will make me sad. Said Sek as he looked at the old man, who just face-palmed and said, "Sai, you are forcing me to use my trump card, you know." Sek, Asta, and Luck immediately got ready to take on the attack which was about to come towards them as they saw the aura around the old man turn serious in an instant. I only use this technique when I know nothing else is going to work on my enemy, so brace yourselves. Said the old man in a serious tone, hearing which Luck got excited while Noelle gulped her saliva. Sek prepared himself to immediately form a shield in case he need to block the attack and thought, what type of attack is it going to be? A concentrated attack, an AoE attack, or some kind of debuff or something? Lotus smirked as a lot of smoke gathered around him, alerting Sek and the others. Nijarundeo. Said the old man as a vehicle made of smoke shot forward from the huge cloud of smoke and rushed towards the exit. You dare pull a Joestar on me? Yelled Sek as his grimoire started flipping pages. Yar! Said the old man as he increased his speed as he felt a large amount of mana gathering behind him. Lotus also gathered his fallen subordinates from the ground and then looked behind to see what was happening. Bronze creation magic and lightning debuff magic, Gaster paralyzing blaster. A huge animal head made of bronze appeared in front of Sek as mana started gathering inside it. That doesn't look good. Though Lotus as he looked at the huge animal head. Lotus immediately used his magic to make a huge smile screen, blinding all of them. Haha, we can still sense you, said Luck with a smile, but all of a sudden it vanished as he muttered, his mana just split all of a sudden. Sek frowned at that, but then he realized something and smirked. A good technique indeed. But it's useless in front of the Dark Lord. Said Sek as he fired the blast at the smoke screen. Ah! Multiple screams came out of the mouth of the diamond mages as they were hit by the blast. Next time hide the mana of your subordinates as well," said Sek as he saw the mana disappearing and soon saw a group of heavily injured diamond mages inside a barely standing smoke vehicle. All of a sudden Lotus came out of the group of mages with a lot of wounds on his body and said, "I will keep that in mind, Dark Lord Kun." "I hope you will," said Sek as he saw the man collapsing on the ground along with the smoke-made vehicle. Chapter 43, Talk with Lotus. There was a time when my cute daughters would swarm around me asking me to carry them in my arms with a cute expression on their faces. But now, forget the hugs, they don't even want to have my clothes washed off together with theirs," said Lotus with a nostalgic and sad look on his face. "Not gonna lie dude, I can't that I know how that feels. But that gotta be sad seeing someone you care about give you a cold shoulder like that. But all children go through this phase nowadays, so it is not that uncommon," said Sek as he looked at Lotus. Lotus just gave a tired sigh and looked down. He nodded his head and then kept quiet for a while. Currently, after the Black Bulls defeated the Diamond Kingdom mages, Sek used his sacred gear to absorb all the remaining magic out of the mages and then restrained their hands with his magic and also connected all of their cuffs with a chain, so that none of them tries to run away. "Hey, Sek? Is it really fine to bring them like that?" asked Noelle as she looked at the Diamond Kingdom mages with a look of uncertainty. "It's fine, our mission is just to get the treasure chamber before the Diamond Kingdom does. Not killing them, plus we don't have any personal grudge against them, right? They too were ordered to do this for their kingdom's sake, so I will just let the Clover Kingdom deal with them. And it's not like they can defeat us and get away from here," said Sek as he tried to ease the Noelle's worry. "Sek-kun, you are pretty unusual, you know? Even though you are smart enough to know that we are enemies from a rival kingdom, you still take that decision," said Lotus as he looked at the blonde-haired boy. Sek looked at the black-haired diamond mage and said, "Well, dealing with you all here and now is an option. But just like you told me, you have a family to support. So killing you will leave a bad taste for me, if your daughters get treated badly because of your death." Sek gave a kind smile, seeing which Lotus gave a sigh and thought, "He is a good kid. Plus if we hand you all over to the authorities, they will get a chance to interrogate some soldiers from the Diamond Kingdom, and we will get merit because of that, which will help me get a promotion," said Sek with as he gave a thumbs up to the Diamond Kingdom mages, making them look at him with a deadpan look on their faces. "And who knows, that your kingdom try to negotiate to get you all back, since you all are slight high-ranked soldiers, well except for the old man who is a top dog. And if the negotiations were to be successful, you all get to go back to your families," said Sek as he patted Lotus's back and said, "So cheer up." All the people around him except for Asta and Luck looked at him with an unsure expression on their faces. They were not sure whether to think that he was kind person or not, but they just let him be like that. "Well, whatever, there is no use thinking about it anyway. Let's just hope that everything remains fine for the both of us," said Lotus as he looked at Sek. "If not for the Clover and Diamond Kingdoms to be enemies, I would have asked you whether you want to marry one of my daughter or not. You seem to be a fine guy to be around," said Lotus. "Sorry, not interested, old man, I am still too young for that. Your daughters would hate you more if you bring that topic to them, you know," said Sek. "Haha, I already know that," said Lotus as he gave a dry laugh and looked down with a saddened look on his face. "He has already done that," thought Noelle and Sek along with the rest of the diamond mages as they looked at Lotus. "Well, it's not like you are going to win anyway. So it's alright if you don't want to accept my daughter," said Lotus as he looked at Sek and the other Black Bulls with a mysterious smile on his face. "Don't raise the flag, old man," said Sek with a smirk as well and looked at Secret. "Are we still far?" asked Sek, to which Secret shook her head. Hearing that, Sek stopped fooling around and walked forward while telling Luck to look after the diamond mages who we still recovering their mana. "A word of advice, Dark Lord Kun. Never be arrogant in your abilities, it will surely drag you down in future," said Lotus. A solid fact for you, old man. It's not arrogance, it's pride, and I have the prowess to back that pride up," said Sek without even looking at him. Lotus just shook his head after hearing what Sek said and just walked silently. He had faith in the trump card that he brought with him, and if the kind boy from Clover was not willing to follow his advice, then there was nothing that he could do. Sek on the other hand just walked forwards while being attentive of the surroundings, though he didn't worry much as he had the best tracker/guide sitting on his shoulder leading him towards the treasure room. "I don't know about daughters, but I am very happy to have you, Secret," said Sek as he caressed the bird on his shoulder with a smile on his face. Secret didn't show a change in her expression but still nuzzled her head against his finger for a moment. "My daughters are a lot prettier than that bird of yours, you know," said Lotus as he looked at the bird that Cells praised. Sek just ignored the old man and said, "Humph, Secret is the best geezer. You cannot compare her to anyone." Sek praised his familiar with a confident tone as he replied to Lotus. Secret, who heard that, looked at him and thought, "You are a great person too," and then patted his head with her wing, trying to calm him down and prevent him from bickering with the diamond mage. But as they were doing that, Luck, Secret, and Sek immediately felt a huge disturbance in mana as a crazed smile appeared on Luck's face. "It is strong," said Luck. "Mess so. Nothing for the Dark Lord," said Sek. "Hey? What happened?" asked Asta as he looked curiously at Sek and Luck. Both their grimoires started floating up and the pages started flipping. Lighting creation magic, Thunder God's boots. Bronze creation magic, Bronze rider. Immediately lightning enveloped Luck's feet while Sek's bike appeared in front of him. "Stay here for a bit, okay?" said Sek as his other grimoire started floating as well. Dark debuff magic, Dark touch. Sek's hand got enveloped in a dark aura as he moved forward to touch the Diamond Kingdom mages. "Wah, what are you doing? Hey, I can't see!" yelled one of the Diamond Kingdom goons. Sek didn't speak anything and just touched all of them, robbing them of their sights, and then grabbed Asta and Noel before he put both of them in the side cart and then rushed towards the source of the mana outburst. Chapter 44, Magic Knights v/S Mars. Sek and the others were currently being led by Luck, who was running with a huge grin on his face. "Luck! Don't jump off on your own," said Sek, who was following Luck along with the other two rookies on his bike. "Ha ha ha, the one who reaches that person first, gets to fight him," said Luck as he looked back at Sek. "Secret, can you lead us at this speed?" asked Sek as he looked at the bird. Secret just shook her head in denial, clearly stating that their speed was too much for her to keep up with. Sek sighed and just Luck do what he wanted, he will just jump in if Luck or the others gets their asses kicked badly. Though he didn't think there was a need for it, as both Luck and Asta are strong and Noelle had her new defensive magic to protect herself and others. Sek just focused on driving through the dungeon paths, which Luck changed at a random basis, and soon felt the mana signature to be closer and stronger. "Looks like your friend is going on a rampage," said Sek as he looked at Asta. "You know," muttered Asta as he turned serious and narrowed his eyes. "We are there," said Luck as he jumped off the opening that appeared in front of them. "Hold on tight," said Sek as he didn't slow down his speed, seeing which Noelle gripped the side cart tightly while Asta stood up as his grimoire started floating beside him. "Leroy Jenkins!" yelled Sek as he appeared out of the tunnel on top of his bike, grabbing the attention of everyone present there. Sek smirked as he held Noelle by her collar and jumped off the bike, which along with Asta went staring towards the huge sword made of crystals. "Way!" screamed Noelle as she suddenly found herself being grabbed by her collar. "Brace yourself," said Sek as his grimoire started floating beside him. "Bronze magic, Bronze body." Sek clenched his teeth as he landed on the ground with his bronze-enhanced body making a huge crater on the ground. "That went well," said Sek as he looked at himself and smirked, seeing that there was no injury. "Like hell that went well. You idiot!" yelled Noelle as she slapped Sek's head, only to wince in pain because of hitting the metallic coating on Sek's body. "Oh, you alright, Noelle?" Asked Sek as he didn't feel anything from her attack. Ugh! Groaned Noelle as she glared at Sek. It seems that you are fine, now go and protect the others. We will deal with Thao. Look, Asta has already destroyed that huge ass sword. Well, it's only natural since dealing with magic is his speciality. Said Sek as he looked at the other who were looking at Asta with disbelief except for Yuno and Luck who had a smile on their faces. Well, can't have him outshine us. Let's go, Noelle. Said Sek as he moved towards the other magic knights. Oh, okay, V said Noelle as she followed him as well. You alright, Mimosa? Asked Sek as he saw the ginger-head noble lying in a bed of flowers with a wound on her body. Sek-san, yes, I am fine. I will heal in no time. Said Mimosa with a slightly pained tone. Sek gave a nod and then gestured Noelle to look after her. Noelle snorted in her normal tsundere way and then moved towards Mimosa. Sek looked at Yuno and Klaus who were badly injured and just said, so you two got your asses kicked, hey. Hearing that, Yuno just looked at him and said, I was just about to get serious there. Klaus on the other hand just ignored him as he was still shocked after seeing Asta effortlessly dealing with the mage they were losing against. Hey Sek! Called out Luck with an excited tone. Sek looked at Luck who pointed at the various crystal golems and said, let's see who destroys more of them. Hearing that, Cell's smirked, seeing which Luck's grin widened. Both of their grimoires started flipping pages as both of them looked at the golems coming towards them. Lighting creation magic, thunder god's gloves. Bronze creation magic, giant fists. Luck who now had his lightning gloves dashed forward and started fighting the golems. Sek on the other hand just stood at his spot as he took his stance, who was copied by the huge bronze fists floating above him as the fists moved towards the golems and started smashing the golems like mosquitoes. Oi, you have been whining for a while now. Stop being a bother already. Said Noelle as she destroyed a golem heading towards Klaus with her magic, which somehow was able to hit it. How can this be? How is that peasant able to do things like that? Asked Klaus, hearing which Noelle sighed and told him about Asta. How can that kind of power be in the hands of a peasant? Asked Klaus with disbelief. Well, only he could possibly have that power in this world, you know. Said Sek as he smashed another golem. That was my 17th. Yelled Sek as he looked at Luck. Being someone without magic at all is the requirement to get that power. Do you think that you would have survived being someone without any magic till you get your hands on a grimoire? Asked Sek as he looked at Klaus, who just remained silent. Sek just shrugged his shoulders and said, whatever, it's not like you will understand that. And then looked towards the Asta who was clashing against the crystal guy. Sek then pointed his hand towards Klaus and fired magic bullet of the size of his fist, which passed beside Klaus and destroyed a golem that was behind him. So just snap out and do your job as a magic knight. Or you want the great me to save your ass? Said Sek as he looked at Klaus. Klaus adjusted his glasses and said, shut up, that is not the way you talk to a noble. And immediately various spikes made out of his magic emerged from the ground and started piercing through the golems as well. But Sek just ignored him and looked at Noelle and said, nice one, Noelle, your magic finally but its target. Sniff, I am so proud. And wiped off a single tear that came out of his eye. Hearing that, Noelle blushed from embarrassment and started telling at Sek, seeing which Sek just laughed. But soon Sek stopped laughing as they heard rumbling coming from the direction of Asta and the crystal guy, and turned around only to see the crystal guy clad in a crystal armor swatting Asta away like a bug. Well, Asta got swatted. Time for the Dark Lord to jump in. Said Sek with a smirk on his face as he raised his hand up and moved forward. Hey, no fair. I want to take on that guy. Solid Luck as he looked at Sek. But you got your head start on the earlier enemy, right? It's my chance now. Said Sek as he looked at Luck. Wait a minute. Yelled Asta, who suddenly emerged from the rubble with most of his upper body in full display to the others. It is my fight. I have to show that I can beat the guy who even couldn't beat. said Asta as he came towards Sek and Luck and joined the argument. Who said that I couldn't beat him? I was just about to counterattack that guy with a very strong spell which would have defeated him easily. Move back, I can deal with him on my own, said Yuno as he joined the other three as well. Hey, what the hell are you all even talking about? It's clearly my turn now. You all got your chances before, said Sek as he looked at the other three. But didn't you beat that guy from before, so it's my turn, said Luck. I am still not down. My turn isn't over yet, said Asta in his usual loud tone. If we are going by that, then I am not down either. So it should be my turn, said Yuno as he looked at Asta, making him glare at Yuno. Arg! You were clearly being beaten by him, so your turn was over, said Asta as he pointed his finger at Yuno. And so was you, so it's my turn, you idiot, said Sek as he pointed his finger at Asta. Who the hell are you calling an idiot, you bastard? Replied Asta. Hey, you of course. You idiot, said Yuno. Ha ha ha, this is getting exciting. Hey, let's all fight each other, said Luck with an excited tone. Seeing the four Magic Knight arguing amongst themselves, Klaus, Mimosa, and Noel were left totally speechless and were not sure what to say about it. Are they really quarreling about who is going to fight that monster? Asked Klaus with a frown on his face. Those idiots, said Noel as she facepalmed and glared at her teammates. Aren't they a lively bunch? Said Mimosa with a wry smile on her face. Mars, the diamond who the Magic Knights were battling right now, looked at the group of Magic Knights who were talking amongst themselves and entered a flashback. Once he was done remembering the beautiful days he spent with his friend, he snapped out of daze and glared at Asta and the others. Don't stand in my way, you pebbles, said Mars in a cold tone as he in his giant crystal armor moved forward and moved his hands to smash all of them to the ground. Meanwhile, Sek and the others who were having an intense battle of rock paper scissors totally ignored the crystal giant. Stop copying me, you plot armored idiot, yelled Sek as he smacked Asta, who has been using the same action as him for the past few turns, ending the game in a draw. Suddenly Sek noticed the giants coming towards them and glared at it as well. Can't you see that we are in middle of something? Yelled Sek as he used his magic, making the giant fists that were made by him earlier to combine into one massive fist before it moved forward toward the crystal giant, sending it crashing against the wall and destroying all the crystals in an instant. Boom! The whole dungeon shook for a few seconds because of the impact, making every one of them to look towards the place where the crystal giant was sent flying. Soon they noticed an unconscious and wounded Mars falling down towards the ground, which made them realize what Sek just hit. Ha 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 ha, as expected of me, said Sek with a stiff smile on his face as he stood proudly and looked towards the fallen Diamond Kingdom mage. You bastard! Yelled Asta as he immediately started shaking Sek's body, earning himself a smack from Sek which pummeled him into the ground. Chapter 45, The Treasure Room. Stay AAAAAAR. Stay AAAAAR. Will you two stop that already? Said Sek as he looked at Asta and Yuno, who were staring intently at him. I will defeat you, said Asta as he pointed his finger at Sek. You are way stronger than I expected, but I will surpass you, said Yuno as he looked at him with a confident expression on his face. Seeing the two of them like that, the other Magic Knights felt awestruck at their declaration, since after watching how easily Sek dealt with the diamond guy that was currently being sealed by Klaus's magic, but still felt a bit confident themselves and thought that they will become stronger as well. Well, there is no harm in trying, so good luck, said Sek with a deadpan look on his face. Why, you bastard! You are totally making fun of me, yelled Asta. Sek widened his eyes in surprise and said, You are smart enough to tell that. Various tick marks appeared on Asta's face as he could guess that Cells was saying that he was stupid. Pfft! All of them suddenly heard a snicker as they immediately turned towards Yuno, who was looking away while covering his mouth. He laughed. He clearly laughed. Yuno can laugh. How dare you laugh at me? Yuno turned around and stood straight with an expressionless face and said, "What are you all talking about? Whatever, let's stop talking about this," said Sek as he stretched his body when suddenly his eyes caught something, seeing which a mischievous smirk appeared on his face. He slowly moved towards Noel and whispered, "Oh my, someone is intently looking at Asta's exposed body." Noel immediately flinched in response and turned around to look at Sek with a huge blush on her face. Who said that I was looking at his bobod, that? I never said that it was you, whatever, enjoy your youth, Noel," said Sek as he patted Noel's shoulder, making her even more embarrassed as she was about to yell at him once again. And congratulations on being able to hit your spell correctly in the previous battle. You have improved a lot," said Sek as he gave a pat on the back of the silver-haired royal. He praised me, yes. I totally hit that spell earlier," mentally cheered Noel as she felt slightly embarrassed on being praised. She snorted and said, "Humph, of course I have improved. I am a royal, you know." Yeah, you are great," said Sek with a deadpan time, making Noel annoyed, but soon a smile appeared on their lips as they both felt happy for this improvement. Thank you," muttered Noel in a low tone, but Sek, who was just beside her, was able to hear it and said, "You are welcome, Noel," making the tsundere even more embarrassed. "Oi, what are the two of you doing?" asked Asta as he looked towards Noel and Sek. "And nothing," replied Noel as she hurriedly beloved away from Sek, only to lose her balance after a few steps, which resulted in her getting saved by Asta, who caught her from falling. "Oh my, Noel is so bold," said Sek with a playful tone as he looked at Noel. Mimosa, who saw that, covered her eyes with her hands but still peeked through in between her fingers and said, "How bold of you, Noel-san." "Are you fine, Noel?" asked Asta, who was holding Noel's body. WH. What do you think you are doing? And besides, aren't you embarrassed?" exclaimed Noel as she smacked Asta's head and then started complaining. Asta, who heard that, looked at his clothes and widened his eyes in shock. "My robe's all tattered up. Magna Senpai will kill me." "Don't worry, Vanessa will fix that up in no time," said Luck as he showed a thumbs up. Anyway, getting to the important point, since we are the ones who reached here first, then that means that we are the winners," said Klaus as Yuno and Mimosa stood beside him. "Hey," said Asta as he looked at the glasses wearing Noble. "Hey now, wasn't the best about reaching the treasure room first? How come you are the winners?" said Sek as he looked at the Golden Dawn members. "Hey, what are you talking about? This is the treasure room. Right in front of you," said Klaus with a confused look on his face, thinking whether Sek was blind or not. "Yeah, how did you know that this is the treasure room for sure? Did you perhaps already looked inside?" asked Sek, making all of them look at him with surprised look on their faces. "For all I know, this room could be here to dash of people, and there are a lot of traps set inside there," said Sek as he shrugged his shoulders. Hearing his thoughts, the other magic knights started thinking about what Sek said, except for Asta, who was chewing onto some leaf. Sek, who done distracting the others, smirked as his glance fell onto Secret, who just landed on his shoulder. "You weren't injured, right?" asked Sek, to which the bird just shook her head. Sek smiled hearing that as he caressed the bird's head. Anyways, since we were the ones who reached here first, we will be the ones who will check it and find out if this room is the treasure room or not," said Klaus as he shifted his glasses. Hearing which, Sek just smiled and said, "Be my guest," and then gave a bow while pointing his hands towards the door. "Oi, Sek, they will win," complained Asta. "Idiot, focus on your injuries first. What kind of wizard king are you gonna be if you get this injured after every fight?" said Sek. "Just you wait and see. I will be a great wizard king and will then marry my beautiful sister Lily," declared Asta, with his eyes twinkling a bit at the mention of this sister Lily. Cough cough asterisk. Noel, on the other hand, started coughing after hearing the declaration. "That's some damage," said Sek as he patted Noel's back, trying to ease her out a bit. "You do know that door is made up of magic, right?" And it will take a lot of time to open that normally. Said Luck. Yeah, it will give us enough time to grab a bite. I am hungry. Said Sek as he took out a small bag that was hanging on his waist and took out a lunch box from it. I asked Charmy to make us something. Want to eat it? Asked Sek as he opened the box, which revealed a lot of different types of sandwiches in it. Yes please. Said Asta as he was about to take out some from the box. Wash you hands you idiot. Said Sek as he pulled back the box and pointed at the pond where Mars was sent flying earlier. After the black bulls were done cleaning up, all of them found some rock to sit upon and had their snack, while also curiously asking the Golden Dawn about their situation, which made Klaus pissed at them as he watched the black bulls enjoying the meal. Here! Called Sek as he walked towards the Golden Dawn members and called them out. All of them turned around to look at him and saw him offering them a box. We had way too much stuffed in there, so might as well share some with you all. Said Sek as he handed the box to Mimosa. Thank you. Said Mimosa. Humph, there is no need for that. Said Klaus in a slightly pissed off tone. Now, Klaus-san, no need to be that salty. You guys need a break too besides. Said Sek as he looked at Asta and gestured something to him. You guys are taking way too long. Said Sek as Asta appeared in front of them and cut off a huge chunk of the door, making an opening for them to go in. Sek's eyes widened from shock after seeing all the gold in there, to the point that he even forgot to breathe for a second. He then stepped inside the room and said, "All right, the black bulls reached the treasure room first. We win." "Yeah!" cheered Asta as he raised his sword up in the air. But immediately after that he started bickering with Klaus about how it was technically Golden Dawn's win. This is amazing, but how are we going to take all this back?" asked Noelle. Sek turned around and looked at her, but soon noticed Mimosa nibbling onto a sandwich and stared at her for a while. Seeing that, Noelle followed his gaze and also saw Mimosa nibbling onto the sandwich and stared at her as well. You know who had a sandwich in his own hand looked at the two of them and looked away so as to not get stared at by those two. Mimosa, who felt the gazes on her, looked back at Sek and Noelle and tilted her head in confusion. And immediately both Noelle and Sek felt a jolt to pass through their bodies. That was cute, thought both of them at the same time, and then looked at each other only to avert their eyes as they understood that the other person had the same thoughts as well. About that, we will have someone carry the news about the dungeon back to the Magic Knight's headquarters, and then we will said Klaus. Read the mood at least. Said both Sek and Noelle in unison as they looked at Klaus, making the spectacled man took a few steps back because of shock. Sek and Noelle snorted as both of them turned back to their normal selves and started looking around the room, which was soon followed by the others as each of them started roaming around. Secret, who also felt something, nudged Sek and flew off. Probably the new anti-magic sword. Anyways, let's start searching for something useful as well, thought Sek as he was finally alone. Now then, from my understanding of Dungeoning 101 in anime and manga, a protagonist will get everything that is in the storage room if it's the first dungeon. And for that the protagonist must have some kind of storage magic, or thought Sek as he started going deeper and deeper into the treasure room. A storage ring nearby, a coffin or a skeleton, thought Sek as he soon came across an opening which led to somewhere and soon passed through the dark path and saw a majestic coffin kept on a raised platform. What can I say, I am just smart. Said Sek as he flicked his hair. Chapter 46, The Hidden Room. Sek stared at the majestic coffin for a while and then looked around the huge room he was in and whistled, see how majestic and beautiful the room actually looked. He then walked forward and was about to enter the hall, but just as he took the first step he got stopped by an invisible wall. A barrier, muttered Sek as he placed his hand on the invisible wall and then knocked it a few times. Taking a step back, Sek looked at the hall and took out his sword. Well, Xtace-chan, do what you are best at, said Sek as he passed his mana through his sword. Swinging his sword towards the barrier, Xtace easily sliced through the layer of the barrier, opening a way for Sek to enter inside the hidden room. It was a pretty high-level barrier to not show any excess damage after taking on my Xtace's attack. I hope the things in there are valuable as well, muttered Sek as he entered the huge hall. Just as he entered the hall, Sek looked up and saw that the inside of the hall was totally different from how it looked before he looked through the barrier, and was even more awestruck by the scenery inside the huge dungeon hall. "It's like a huge garden in here, a garden from a castle," said Sek as he looked around the garden. He then kneeled down and touched the soil and grass and found out that it was real and not something made out of magic. "This place is messed up," thought Sek as he looked back at the entrance from where he came from and noticed that the hallway he came from was totally dark and had totally different feel from the room he was in. "Well, no use fretting over it. This is a dungeon, and despite being the intelligent Dark Lord I don't know much about them," said Sek as he looked at his surroundings and said, "I really want to show this place to Secret, Mom and Dad. The black bulls will make a mess of this place, so it's better to not take them here," said Sek with a smile on his face. He then turned serious and then looked at the coffin that was surrounded by flowers and then walked towards it, being careful to not crush the flowers under his feet. Without thinking twice, Sek placed his hand on top of the coffin, and after making sure that there was no trap on the coffin, he decided to remove the lid and check what was in there. "Please don't be alive. Please don't be alive," thought Sek as he tried to lift the lid, which for some reason was not even moving a bit. "What the hell is this coffin made of?" said Sek as he stopped lifting the lid. Immediately after that, his grimoire started floating beside him and pages started flipping. "Like hell it can stop the Dark Lord," said Sek. "Bronze magic, bronze body." Immediately after that, Sek's body changed to one made of bronze. Grabbing the lid once again, Sek used his full muscle strength along with his magic's enhancement and started lifting it up. Rumble. Hearing the rumbling sound, Sek smirked as he felt that the lid moved a bit. He clenched the lid even tighter, causing the shape of the place where he was holding to be deformed immediately, and soon after that the lid was thrown away by the motivated Sek. Boom! Hearing the huge noise, Sek looked towards the place where the lid got thrown and saw a huge dust cloud that rose up because of the weight of the lid. "That was probably heavier than Rock Lee's training weighs," muttered Sek as he looked towards his hands, which threw such a heavy thing away. All of a sudden, Sek suddenly felt something on his shoulder and turned around only to find a skull staring at him while placing its bony hand on Sek's shoulder. Sek looked at his shoulder and saw the bony hand and touched it with its finger. He then looked back at the skull, who stared back at him for a while when suddenly its mouth started moving. Clank clank asterisk. But instead of words, only the sound of bones smacking against each other was heard. Sek, being the fearless and great Dark Lord he was, slowly removed the bony hand from his shoulders and took a few steps away from the skeleton. He then took a deep breath and said, "Holy F *CK. The skeleton stopped moving its mouth and jumped off its coffin and tried to his behind it as soon as Sek yelled out loud. "How the hell are you able to move? I don't feel any mana coming from you at all," said Sek as he pointed his finger at the skeleton. "And who the heck are you?" The skeleton in response pointed its own finger at Sek and started moving its mouth once again. "You do know that you are not actually speaking any words, right?" pointed out Sek, making the skeleton stop itself. Then, as if the skeleton noticed something, it looked at its bony hands in surprise as he looked down at its body. It started to touch its skull with its bony hands but soon stopped. Seeing that it finally stopped, Sek was about to ask something else, but all of a sudden the skeleton stood up and started running around while holding its skull and its mouth wide open. "Hey! How the hell are you even shocked? And that too even more than me," said Sek as he looked at the panicked skeleton. But despite what Sek said, the skeleton didn't stop running and then ran away. "What the hell even was that?" asked Sek, but soon shrugged his shoulders and focused back on the coffin and moved towards it. Looking inside, he found that the insides were totally clean and didn't even seem like it housed a skeleton inside it just a few moments ago. But ignoring that, Sek's gaze fell on a single page that was kept there. Lifting it, Sek went through what was written in it and snorted. "I cannot read this. What the hell is written in here? It looks like a page from a grimoire, which would make sense as no one other than the owner of the grimoire could understand what is written in it. Or someone who has learnt the ancient language written inside of grimoires. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Where is that storage magic item that I need? Said Sek as he looked inside the coffin once again. But just as he said that, the page in his hand started glowing, and so did his bronze magic grimoire as it started flipping. Sek watched the scene with surprise as the page flew from his hand and landed on top of his grimoire and merged with it. The grimoire and the page stopped glowing, and the grimoire closed itself and fell in Sek's hand. Hey! Sek looked at the grimoire in surprise as he immediately opened it and started flipping through the pages, and soon his eyes landed on the new page that had some new words written on it. What the eternal safe? Don't tell it is the storage magic. You mean to tell me that the page that was in my hand was a Shenron in disguise? Said Sek in disbelief as suddenly a large amount of thoughts passed through his mind and grabbed his head. No! Yelled Sek as he started realizing what all could he have asked for. Meanwhile, the skeleton who ran away earlier just came back and looked at Sek as if he was an idiot. Chapter 47, Safe. After guessing that the page that was present inside the coffin could have been a one-time Shenron, Sek sat down beside the coffin while embracing his legs, feeling dejected. The skeleton was also sitting beside Sek and was patting the Dark Lord's back, seeing that the human for some reason was feeling down and tried cheer him up a bit. If only I knew it beforehand, muttered Sek in a slightly sad voice. He then felt the bony hand on his back and turned to look at his side, only to find the skeleton patting him and looking at him without any expression on its face. Skull. Well, he is a skeleton after all, thought Sek as he sighed. Can you understand me? Asked Sek, to which the skeleton just gave a nod. Did you know what the page present along with you in the coffin was? The skeleton tilted its skull a bit, looking confused, or that's what Sek felt, since the skull had no expressions on its face. Whatever, it's not like I can reverse time and do it over again anyway, said Sek with a slightly annoyed tone. So what's your name? Alright, you cannot speak, alright, I will call you Ins from now on, said Sek without even giving the skeleton, now named Ins, a chance to respond. The skeleton stared at Sek for a while before giving a nod to Sek. Sek smirked and then pointed at himself and said, Good, now let me introduce myself. I am Sek Bronzaza, also known as the Great Dark Lord. The skeleton stared at the smug Sek for a while before giving a nod once again. So let me ask you a question that Professor Oak always asks. Are you a boy or a girl? Asked Sek and looked at the skeleton. Boy. Asked Sek, to which Ins once again nodded. All right, Ins kun, do you know what place is this and if there is any treasure in this area? Ins just shook its head in denial, making Sek give out a sigh of disappointment. You were of no use, Ins. Sajiga Ins sama my ass, said Sek with a disappointment look towards the skeleton, who slumped its shoulder and looked down on being called useless. Well, what are you doing here anyway? Forget it, you cannot speak right now. Hey, do you get any urge to kill humans or anything like that? Asked Sek. Ins immediately jolted its body and looked towards Sek and shook its head furiously. Sek smirked and said, Is that so? Then you are a good person, skeleton, I guess. Hearing his answer, Ins stopped shaking its head and looked at Sek for a while before giving a nod once again. Sek nodded as well and then decided to check his grimoire. His bronze magic grimoire started flipping pages, and soon the page that Sek knew was not present before appeared. Bronze creation magic, safe of eternity. So that page changed my wish to a magic that will go along with my affinity. Let's test this out. Sek stood up and looked around before his gaze fell on the coffin behind him. Mind if I use this, Ins? Asked Sek as he looked towards Ins. Ins shook his head, giving his approval. Go ahead. Sek nodded and then pointed his hand towards the coffin. Bronze creation magic, safe of eternity. Soon magic flowed out of Sek's body as he widened his eyes a bit at the amount that it took. Still, it's not an unreasonable amount, thought Sek as he focused back on the spell. Soon a huge safe appeared in front of Sek, surprising both him and Ins. But before they could admire the design, the front of the safe opened and revealed its inside. Sek's eyes started shining as he saw the inside of the safe, since it looked really nice and futuristic from inside. Not even saying anything, Sek got near the safe and stepped inside. Suddenly Sek heard a voice in his mind and got a bit surprised and started looking around. "Hayens, did you hear anything?" Buttons just shook its head in denial. "Was it the voice of the safe, and is it like that only I can hear it?" thought Sek. "Cool," thought Sek as he heard the voice once again. Sek then started looking around and soon his gaze fell on a display. "It is touch screen," thought Sek as he looked at the screen and gave a tap on it. Immediately after that the screen glowed and various options appeared on the screen. Sek started fiddling around with the screen and seeing that he was busy, Ins got in the safe as well and started looking around. After fiddling with the screen for a while, Sek understood the basic things that it can do. First of all, the storage space in the safe was unlimited, and was capable to suspend the time inside the safe if needed. It was also able to store in both living and non-living things. It can also store everything on its own if the target is already decided by the spellcaster. It can also make various spaces inside it, making it possible for Sek to have his own room inside a safe if he wanted to, as well as manage the size of the room if required. All the functions of the safe are manageable by the screen that he was interacting with, and only he could interact with it. Though various functions like making different and personal spaces, automatic storing etc. required Sek to use his mana, so he decided to not test all of them at the moment. All of a sudden Sek felt a huge amount of mana coming from the treasure room Asta and the others were. He immediately jumped out of the safe and without noticing Ins, who was about to come out as well, closed the door of the safe and deactivated his spell. Chapter 48, Justice. Sek, who just came out of the hall was now back into the dungeon area as the surroundings turned back to normal. "I need to hurry up," said Sek as his grimoire started floating. Bronze creation magic, Bronze Rider. Sek immediately jumped and got on top of the bike that appeared in front of him and passed his mana through it. Vroom! Giving out a roar, the bronze motorbike rushed forward, leaving a trail of dust behind it. The treasure chamber. Back into the treasure chamber, Mars, who just woke up and was covered in a robe of flames and a huge armor made out of crystals, started walking towards the treasure room. "I will destroy them," thought Mars as he advanced towards the treasure room and noticed the two girls standing in front of him. Narrowing his eyes, Mars focused his magic to find his grimoire and immediately felt a reaction from the room in front of him. "What is happening?" asked Klaus as he saw that the grimoire freed itself from his hand and started releasing mana. "Kaluz-san," said Mimosa as she looked worriedly towards him. Immediately after that, a large amount of crystals started coming out of the ground and captured Klaus, and Luck, making them immovable. "Wah! Mimosa!" yelled Noelle as she came in front of Mimosa and shielded her from the incoming barrage of crystal projectiles. Mars, who just came in the room, looked around with an expressionless face, but soon a small smirk appeared as he noticed the monoless Asta standing with a shocked look on his face. "Noelle!" yelled Asta as he started to run towards Mars with an angry expression on his face. "Where is the other person?" asked Mars as various swords made out of crystals appeared in front of him and started rotating. "How dare you!" But without even listening to his question, Asta took out his huge anti-magic sword, willing to beat the hell out of Mars. "It's useless, I already know you abilities now," said Mars with a composed tone and fired the fast rotating swords towards Asta and started advancing towards him. Asta parried off the rotating blades with slight difficulty, but soon started getting troubled by them as the speed of the projectiles increased. Various wounds started appearing on his body, making him a bit tensed. "I will show you what happens to those who are weak," said Mars, who was now standing in front of Asta, and punched him with his huge crystal armor. Asta got sent flying straight through the wall, seeing which Secret, who was in his path, moved away and saw Asta crash and destroy the wall and moving past it into a secret room. "Well, he did got in there, but I need to find Sek. Where is he?" thought Secret as she started looking around. "Humph, as I thought. Only the strong will survive," said Mars as he looked at the destroyed wall and then started advancing towards Asta. "I need to let him know about the sword, otherwise, considering his usual behavior, he might even ignore it. Sek's search needs to wait," thought Secret, and then rushed towards Asta. "Noelle-san! Noelle-san!" repeated Mimosa in worry as she tried to heal the injured royal. Don't worry, I will heal you," said Mimosa as a dress with wings made of plants appeared on her body and a green glow started coming out of her hands. Mars, who heard some noise nearby, glanced towards Mimosa, who was healing the dying Noel, and narrowed his eyes. He then turned around and started moving towards the girls. "The strong will survive and the weak will die," said Mars with slight anger as he saw that the girl was trying to save the weak girl who was about to die. Various swords appeared around Mars once again and started rotating. "Mimosa! Noel!" yelled both Luck and Klaus as they saw the armored Mars preparing the attack. Mimosa, who heard their shout, got a bit terrified and turned around to see what was happening and noticed a giant in front of him. Justice Crash, who was sent flying after Sek, rammed him with his motorbike. "Sorry for the delay," said Sek as he landed in front of Mimosa, who was looking at him with her eyes widened. Sek took out his sword and destroyed the incoming projectiles and then looked back towards Noel. "Oi Noel, you still alive?" asked Sek. "Noel, I can see you exposed boobs. You creep," said Noel with a pained tone as she moved her hand to cover her chest only to find that it was covered. "So you were alive, good job holding back till now," said Sek as he walked towards the injured royal and looked at her face. He then glanced at Mimosa and said, "Can you heal and save her?" Mimosa, who was being called out by Sek, immediately snapped out of trance and blushed. Why, yeah, sure. Leave it to me," said Mimosa loudly and then focused back on healing Noel. "Don't you dare die on me, alright? I still need to train that shitty control of yours," said Sek as he glanced at Noel. "Humph," snorted Noel as she looked away from Sek. "Why you?" Sek suddenly heard a noise and looked up only to find Mars looking at him with an enraged expression on his face. "Oh, you are still up. Oh wait, you have that recovery magic thingy going on, right? Well, let's get ready for round 2 then," said Sek as he walked forward in front of Noel and Mimosa and made a wall of bronze in front of them for their protection. "Stay there," said Sek as he looked at Noel and Mimosa and then glanced back at Mars. "Oh, by the way, where the hell is Asta?" And as if being called, Asta came out of the hidden room with various wounds and bruises on his body and a new sword in his hand. "Yet, I am here," declared Asta as he looked at Mars. "Shut up, you are too loose," said Sek as he glanced at Asta and saw the wound on his half-naked body. "You," said Sek in a cold tone. Anf glanced at Mars. "What the? Whoa. How?" thought the people who could perceive magic in the hall and looked at Sek with a shocked look on their faces. Sek, who was releasing a huge amount of mana, started walking towards Mars with his grimoire floating beside him. How dare you do that to Asta?" Sek, there is no problem, I will be fine once I go back and get treated. These wounds will most probably take a week at most, said Asta with an embarrassed look on his face, seeing that Sek got worried about him. "Who the hell do you think is going to do the chores if Asta got injured, asshole?" yelled Sek as a huge fist made of bronze alley in front of Mars and sent him flying up towards the ceiling. Said Asta with a shocked look on his face as all the thoughts about Sek caring about him vanished from his mind. Chapter 49, That's my win. Sek looked at the fallen crystal giant and then turned towards Asta. "Go and free the others. I will handle him." "Oi," Sek complained Asta, but stopped as Sek continued to stare at him with an expressionless face. "Gee, got it," said Asta as he took a step back and gulped his saliva. Secret, who was coming towards him, stopped after seeing the look on Sek's face and sat down on top of Asta's head. "I will kill you," said Mars with a muffled voice as he tried to stand up on his feet. Glancing towards the crystal giant, Sek sighed and muttered, "Guess there's no sparing him." All of a sudden a violet light came out of Sek's hands and legs and his various sacred gears appeared on his body. Mars, who was now standing, glared at Sek with bloodshot eyes and gave a war cry as he started running towards him in pure rage. "Looks like he lost it," said Sek as he looked at the giant crystal armor-wearing boy with pity and pointed his hand towards him. Absorption line. A glowing rope shot out of the gauntlet present on his hand and moved towards Mars at an incredible speed. Seeing the small rope coming towards him, Mars snorted as his grimoire started flipping and various rotating swords appeared in front of him and moved towards the line to cut it. "Don't mock the Dark Lord by using a spell of that level," said Sek with slight anger as he saw Mars using the same spell on him that he was using against others. "I will crush a peb." Yeah, got it. Just shut the F***ck up," said Sek as he interrupted Mars and then moved his hand to use the absorption line as a whip and destroyed the incoming projectiles in an instant. He then shot forward the line from his mother gauntlet as well and then moved the lines to encircle the rushing crystal giant. Hey! Mars's scream got louder as he closed in the distance between him and Sek. Seeing that, Sek smirked and wrapped the lines around the giant's body. "Arg!" groaned Mars as he started struggling to get out of the bind. "Rejoice, I am going to show you what kind of strength the Dark Lord possess. Bronze magic, bronze body." Sek clenched his fists as he looked at Mars with a crazed smile on his face and spread his arms wide. Immediately after that, a loud cracking noise was heard as the other magic knights looked at the scene with their mouths wide open. Mars too had his eyes wide open in shock as he saw how effortlessly Sek destroyed his huge armor in an instant. No, thought Mars as his grimoire started flipping once again. Sek smirked seeing that Mars was still trying to put a fight and felt the large amount of mana that was being gathered by the Diamond Kingdom mage. This is not good. That much mana is way too much," said Klaus with a scared look on his face as he sensed the mana that Mars was gathering. "Hey! You! Black Bull, get out of there!" yelled Klaus as he tried to warn Sek. "Don't worry, whatever he is trying do is totally useless against me," replied Sek with a confident look on his face as he retracted the line from his sacred gear. "I will crush you pebbles," declared Mars as a huge sword one way bigger than the one he made during his fight against Yuno and Asta appeared. Now that's something big." "Sek! Get out of there!" yelled Asta as he rushed towards Sek wanting to use his anti-magic to cut the sword. Sek took a deep breath and then with a confident expression on his face looked towards Mars and said, There is a saying of a very smart person that I am recalling right now, let me enlighten you as well." Sek smirked as his shadow turned darker and started spreading out. "What a drag!" said Sek as he looked at the sword which was coming towards him with a bored look on his face, but all of a sudden it stopped moving. "What?" said Mars as he saw some kind of darkness extending out of Sek's shadow which stopped the sword from coming towards him. Never forget that, say I. Or Sek, who got interrupted by the sudden yell, turned around to see Ast running towards him with his new sword in his hand. "Oi! Stop, you idiot!" said Sek as he looked at his idiot teammate. But Asta totally ignored him, thinking that Sek was trying to save him from danger. Gripping the sword tightly, Asta took aim at the huge sword which was suspended in mid-air and threw his new sword with full force. "Fug!" cursed Sek as he immediately shot forward his absorption line to stop the anti-magic sword. But in the end the anti-magic sword reached the huge sword earlier, but first made contact with the shadowy aura which was stopping the giant's sword. "You idiot!" yelled Sek, who was immediately attacked by Mars, who skillfully dodged the anti-magic sword and used the giant crystal sword to attack Sek and sent him flying. "Asta, I will beat the crap out of you once we go back, you asshole!" yelled Sek as was still in the air. "Sek!" yelled Asta. "Sek-san!" said Mimosa. "You idiot! I warned you earlier!" said Klaus. "I will kill you all!" said Mars, who used his huge sword and sent it to attack the rest of the magic knights. "Not on my watch!" said Sek as he caught the anti-magic sword which was thrown earlier by Asta and used it to destroy the giant crystal sword. "Shit! This one's gonna hurt a bit!" said Sek as he noticed the wall behind him that was coming closer and closer. Using his enhanced strength from his bronze body spell, Sek braced himself for the impact. Boom! Crashing into the dungeon's wall, Sek's eyes widened and some saliva spilled out of his mouth. He then started falling down with rubble from the broken dungeon wall coming down with him as well. "I am gonna lock Asta in Yummy San's toilet for a whole day," said Sek with a frown on his face as he once again braced himself for the incoming impact from the fall and the huge rebel that was about to fall on top of him. Meanwhile Asta and the others who were now back to focusing on Mars were getting the crap beaten out of them as the mad and enraged Mars was spamming spells after spells on them without caring for mana consumption. Who got desperate and wanted to save everyone got his shounen moment as he noticed that the time got stopped and the small horny fairy appeared in front of him and blew a mouthful of air from he. Haa. But as if not being bothered by the time stop, Sek blew away the rebel and appeared with his sword in his hand. Let's do this. You really gonna get a one-way ticket to hell? Yelled Sek as he raised his sword. And the small fairy looked at Sek with a surprised look on their faces as Sek felt an unknown but strong magic source in the surrounding and immediately glanced towards the wind spirit. He stared at the wind spirit for a while but soon a small mocking grin appeared on his face. X! Yelled Sek as a huge amount of mana burst out through the blade of his sword and the time flow started getting normal. Caliba! Said Sek as he swung his sword down as wave of magic energy got fired towards the giant crystal sword and Mars. As if realizing something, the wind spirit's face scrunched up as she too blew out her breath filled with magic and sent it towards the giant sword. She then looked at Sek with a look which said, "I won't lose." But Sek total ignored her and shot his absorption lines forward and grabbed Asta, Noelle, and Mimosa with them, surprising Mimosa who got scared of being wrapped around by a tentacle all of a sudden. Bohuhuam. A huge explosion engulfed Mars and his sword which shook the whole dungeon, making the magic knights except for Sek widen their eyes from shock. That was my win, declared Sek as he glanced at the wind spirit who looked at Sek with an angry gaze. Sek, who was only able to feel the spirit's mana, was unable to see her expression but still had a triumphant smirk on his face. She vanished, muttered Sek as he stopped feeling the magic power of the spirit from his surroundings. The dungeon is about to collapse, yelled Klaus as he saw the dungeon which got way too damaged by Sek's and the spirit's combined attack. Bloody hell! Muttered Sek as he saw at the damage caused by his and the fairy's attack earlier, as he saw that their attacks destroyed and passed through more than 10 whole rooms. Chapter 50, Believe in Me. Seeing the collapsing dungeon, Sikray immediately rushed towards Sek and sat on top of his shoulder wanting to know his plan to escape. Seeing the bird looking at him curiously, Sek smiled and said, "Don't worry, it is going to be fine." He then looked at Asta and the girls who were wrapped in his sacred gear's tentacles and said, "Mimosa, can I trust on you to keep Noelle alive?" Mimosa, who snapped out of trance after hearing Sek's question, nodded her head without thinking, but soon she turned serious and said, "I will not let anything happen to Noelle-san." Sek nodded and then looked at Asta and said, "Just wait till we reach back the base. I will make sire that you experience what hell really is." "Oi! What was that for?" asked Asta, but Sek ignored him and looked at the remaining magic knights who were coming towards him. "We need to get out of here. The dungeon is going to collapse," said Klaus with a panicked tone. He then glanced at Yuno, who nodded and used his magic to make a small twister appear below them and carried all of them up in the air. "Arg!" groaned Yuno as he felt a bit difficulty in carrying all of them and dealing with the falling rebel. Seeing that Sek started firing the magic bullets to destroy the rebel which was being left out by Yuno's wind magic. "Sikray, go on top of Asta's head," said Sek. Sikray started at Sek for a while but soon widened her eyes and shook her head in denial. Sek sighed and said, "Don't worry, I know what I am doing. Has there ever been a time when I have been wrong?" Hearing which, Sikray gave a nod, making Sek stare at her without saying anything. "But I have never been in danger, right?" To which Sikray shook her head in denial, once again causing another state-off between the Dark Lord and his familiar. "Sikray," said Sek, but Sikray pecked his head once and then patted her chest with one of her wings and then moved it forward. Seeing Sek grinned and then smacked his chest twice and then fist bumped with Sikray. "Well then, together as always, partner," said Sek, to which even Sikray's apathetic expression cracked up and a smile appeared on her face. "Asta, Luck, Noelle, make sure to get out of here alive," said Sek as he looked at his squad mates. "Huh?" Sek! Yelled Asta as he saw Sek giving them a casual salute as he jumped down from the wind platform made out of Yuno's magic. Oi! Sek! What are you doing? Do you want to die? Sek-san! Sek, who was falling down, used his magic. Bronze creation magic, Gaster Blaster. Bronze creation magic, countless swords. Sek also made his sword big enough to stand on top of it and covered it with bronze and floated on top of it. Hey! Make sure to not make my hard work go to ruin. Reach the surface safely, said Sekal loudly as he started blasting off the rebel falling towards the other magic knights. All of them yelled at Sek, trying to say something, but were not audible to him at all. Even Asta's voice was not reaching him. Sek waved his hand as he saw the other magic knight's figure getting smaller and smaller. Well, I helped them in the hard course of the route, now let get on the job, said Sek as he looked towards Sikray. Sikray tilted her head in confusion, wanting to know what her partner was planning in a deadly situation like the one they were in. Sek smiled and said, "Let me show you a new spell that I learned." But suddenly both of them felt new magic signatures entering the area, making them turn to look in the direction of the source. "Oh, the Dark Lord is still here, hui," said Lotus as he looked at Sek with a helpless smile. Sek looked at Lotus and his subordinates who entered the treasure room and concluded that his spell's effect wore off. "How about this Dark Lord Kunwan?" But before Lotus could finish, Sek's grimoire started flipping. Bronze magic, eternal safe. As Sek used his spell, the safe appeared behind the Diamond Kingdom mages. Sek applied more magic to it to make a new room for inside it, after which the safe opened and sucked the Diamond Kingdom magic knights inside along with some of the gold treasure. Sikray, who saw the new spell, widened her eyes in surprise as then looked at Sek, who looked back at her with a grin on his face. "Amazing, right?" To which Sikray gave a nod. Sek laughed out loud and said, "I will show you the insides once we get out of here, but before that." Making the safe move towards him, Sek used the screen at the front and made a new space inside the safe. The safe opened once again as it started sucking up all the gold and other treasures inside. "Haha, I am rich! I am rich!" declared Sek as he raised up his fists in the air and punched away a huge block of stone with his enhanced strength of his bronze body spell. Sikray looked at her partner and face-palmed after seeing his antics. Soon she realized what kind of the situation they were in and started looking around and then smacked Sek's head with her wing to bring him back to reality. "Wah, Sikray! That was rude of you!" complained Sek, earning himself another smack from Sikray, who gestured him to look around. "Oh, this hui, don't worry," said Sek as he looked back at the safe which was still sucking in the treasure. Sikray looked a bit worried, but Sek patted her head and as he focused on destroying the rebel which was about to fall on them. Once Sek made sure that most of the treasure was sucked up, he took a deep breath and said, "Let's get going then. Sikray, you know what to do, right?" To which Sikray gave a nod and started pointing her wings in the direction which lead to the exit. Sek immediately rushed forward as he flew on top of his sword. Avoiding and destroying the rebel falling into of him, Sek increased his speed as he felt the mana of the dungeon dissipating, which meant that the dungeon was about to disappear soon. "It's disappearing faster than I expected," muttered Sek, to which Sikray, who felt the same, started worrying. But contrary to her, Sek smirked as his mana started radiating out of his body. Feeling the mana that was coming out of Sek, Sikray looked at him with a confusion. Feeling her gaze, Sek looked at his familiar and said, "Don't worry, Sikray, we will get out of here safe and sound and then ask Charmy to prepare a feast for us. Believe in me who believe in myself." Sek's grimoire started shining brightly and so did his sword on which he was flying. Bronze creation magic, weapon make. Sek's hand started glowing brightly as he raised it upwards. Giga drill break. Forming a huge drill on top of his hand, Sek's grin widened and he thrusted his hand forward as the drill started rotating. "X-Stace! Booster!" yelled Sek as X-Stace fired a beam from its hilt, pushing itself forward and increasing the speed at which they were flying. "Sikray!" said Sek, making Sikray snap out of trance as she started guiding him once again. Seeing that Secret was back in action, Sek smiled, seeing which Secret smiled as well, and both of them drilled through the rest of the way. Soon Secret dropped her wings down and then gave a thumbs up, wings up, seeing which Sek gave a thumbs up as well. Sek then took a deep breath and then looked up and saw the light in front of him. "I know, we made it," declared Sek as they drilled through the ground and made it outside. "Sek/San," said the magic knights as they saw Sek and Secret coming out of the dungeon. Chapter 51, Give us a lift. "Sek," said Asta as he ran towards Sek, who just came out of the ground with the drill in his hand. Sek looked at the injured Asta and released his spell and landed on the ground. "Phew, that was some adventure," said Sek with a smirk, and then immediately punched the incoming Asta. "Wah! Why?" complained Asta as he fell down on his butt and looked up at Sek, who punched him out of nowhere. "If not for you interfering there, I could have taken him down without causing that much destructing and making it out like this. Consider it your punishment," said Sek. "What? I didn't understand what you mean," asked Asta. "Just think of it as you getting punished for doing something wrong," said Sek. I still don't understand what you mean. But I am sorry," apologized Asta as he bowed his head. Sek sighed and then said, "It's all right. I am used to taking care of your mess anyway." Sek took a deep breath and then sat down on the ground. Finally some fresh air," said Sek and then lied down. Secret, who was sitting in his pocket, came out as well and stood on top of his chest. "Told you we will come out totally fine," said Sek as he patted Secret's head. "Sek-san," said Mimosa, who came running towards him and then started panting as she finally arrived. Are you all right?" asked Mimosa while still trying to calm herself down. "Yup, totally fine," said Sek. I will just check you just in case," said Mimosa with a blush as she could see some part of Sek's stomach because of his clothes being torn up a bit because of the battle. "Hey! What was that back there? Did you wanted to die?" asked Klaus as he shifted his glasses and looked at Sek. Well, was having trouble carrying all of us while avoiding the incoming debris, so I just decided to be the man and do the manly job of let others out of there safely," said Sek. "Hey? What manly job? That was a straight-up death wish there," retorted Klaus. "Humph, you wouldn't say that if you were a man, said Sek with a smirk. "Ha! Are you saying that I am not manly?" said Klaus. Sek just shrugged his shoulders and then stood up. "Who knows, anyways, looks like the expedition is over." Hearing his words, all of them turned silent and looked towards the collapsed dungeon, which started to disappear. "Looks like it," said Klaus as he looked at the dungeon and then towards Sek. "Anyways, I am glad that you made it back safely," said Klaus. My, Mr. Noble is worried for me," said Sek, making Klaus a bit embarrassed as he started giving excuses about how that was not the case. "It's fine now, Mimosa. Save up your mana or you will be troubled, lat," said Sek as he tried to stop Mimosa, but all of a sudden the ginger-head royal stumbled a bit, seeing which Sek caught her and supported her body. "Well, looks like it's already too late. We should rest up for a bit before we decide to go back. Anyone having problems in my proposal?" asked Sek as he looked at the other, totally not noticing the blushing royal in his arms. "No problems," said Klaus, hearing which nodded as well. The Black Bulls gave a nod as well, and Sek gestured Noel to come and take care of Mimosa. "Oh, and take this for the meantime. Though it might not be of the quality that you are used to, I don't think you would like to move around showing that much skin, right?" said Sek as he gave his slightly damaged shirt to Noel, leaving him only in his tank top, which was damaged a bit as well. Noel, who now once again got reminded of her current outfit, blushed a bit and snatched the shirt from Sek's hand. "Humph! Be glad that a royal like me is going to wear something like this," said Noel. But hearing that, Sek immediately snatched his shirt back and said, "How can I cause such a discourtesy of making a royal wear clothes like this? Noel got slightly angered hearing his response and started bickering with him only to end up properly asking and thanking him for his consideration. Suddenly out of nowhere Asta came behind them and enveloped the two of them along with Lick into a hug and said, "We all made it, guys." With a huge smile on his face. Hearing that all the Black Bulls smiled, seeing which Yuno and Mimosa smiled as well as they saw their friends being happy and being able to find a place where they were welcomed. Later that day, once everyone was able to recover their mana and Asta got healed by Mimosa, all of them decided to go back to their respective HQ. "Well, it seems like we will be on our way now. Hey, let's fight the next time we see each other," said Luck as he stood in front of Yuno. "Maybe," replied Yuno. "See you later, Noel-san." "Yes, see you later. Yuno. I will defeat you the next time we meet." "No, I will defeat you next time," said Yuno and then glanced at Sek and said, "I will defeat you too. Try your best," said Sek with a confident smirk, seeing which both Yuno and Asta felt annoyed. "Take care of yourself, Mimosa," said Sek as he looked at the royal, who looked back at him with a smile and nodded her head. "Why you too, Sek-san?" "All right, let's get going then," declared Sek as all of them nodded. "How are we going back?" asked Noel. The rest of the Black Bulls looked at each other with a questioning look on their faces. "We can use Sek's SWO," said Asta. "Like hell I will allow you to taint my X-Dace-chan," said Sek as he looked at Asta. Ha, let's start running now to go back. The last one to reach home will have to fight me," said Luck. The rookies just stood silently and mentally ignored Luck's suggestion as they were too tired to react to his antics. All of them then turned towards the Golden Dawn members who were preparing to go back. "Yuno," said Klaus, hearing which Yuno nodded and his grimoire started flipping. But suddenly out of nowhere both Yuno and Klaus felt someone grip their shoulders, making them turn around. "Give us a lift," said Sek and Asta with a serious look on their faces. "Hey, we met again, shall we fight now?" asked Luck as he stood in front of Yuno with an excited smile on his face. Chapter 52, Back to the Base. After landing close to their HQ, the Black Bulls finally parted with the Golden Dawn members and continued their journey back to their base. After finally seeing their HQ, all of them became a bit relieved and then rushed to their destination. "We are back. Haha, it was a fun mission. Charmy, make something for me to eat real quick." The boys immediately declared about their presence as soon as they entered the base, gathering the attention of everyone who were present. "Oh, you guys are finally back? How was your mission?" asked Vanessa. "La? All right, Sek, leave the food to me, la," said Charmy as she immediately made some chef sheeps using her magic. "Oh. Seeing the condition you guys are in, it seems like you went through hell back there," said Magna. Sek snorted at that and then immediately spotted Yami reading a newspaper and went towards him. Yami, who noticed someone coming towards him, put his newspaper down and looked at Sek and stared at him for a while. "You, who the hell are you?" said Yami as he narrowed his eyes while looking at Sek. Sek's fist clenched in anger as his grimoire started flipping. "Looks like you need to know what 10 times the pressure actually feels," said Sek, and immediately Yami's eyes widened from shock as a look of horror appeared on his face. Yami immediately stood up from his seat and raised up his hand in surrender. "I remember you, you are the new brat from my squad who is a few screws loose. Now don't use that 10 times poop urgent Gansey shit. Gotta go. Right now," said Yami as he held his stomach and rushed towards the toilet. For those who forgot, check ch25. "Oi! How dare you do that to Yumi-san?" yelled Magna as he held 2 fireballs in his hands. "It's his fault for leaving us back there like that. How the hell were we supposed to come back when we didn't even have a flying broom with us?" said Sek, making all of them silent. But I am pretty sure I gave a communicator to Asta, to contact me when you were done with your mission," said Finral, making Sek and Noel widen their eyes in surprise. The whole squad looked at Asta, who tilted his head in confusion. "What's a communicator?" asked Asta. Hey, Asta, I gave you something when I dropped you all there, right? Said Finral in a pleading tone, since if not it was technically his fault. Oh, you mean this? Said Asta as he took out a broken communicator from his pocket. Seeing that all of them facepalmed except for Luck, who started laughing. Sek then looked at Finral and asked, Finral-san, just what did you see in Asta that made you believe that it was totally fine for you to entrust such an important object to him when he don't even have mana to use it? Hearing Sek's comment, all of them looked at Finral with a disappointed look on their faces. Hey! You don't think that it is my fault, right? Right! Said Finral in a panicked tone. Finral, just because of you Yami-san is suffering. Said Sek. Hey, that was totally your fault. Objected Finral, but Sek just ignored that. Because of you Asta needed to ask his rival for a lift, which lowered his non-existent self-esteem. Said Sek. Yeah, wait, what is self-esteem in the first place? Said Asta as he looked around wanting for someone to answer his question. Hey, what's bad with that? Said Finral. Because of you Luck became like this. Said Sek as he held Luck's head. He let's faint, hey Magna let's fight. Said Luck with a smile on his face. Wasn't he already like that? Said Finral with disbelief. Because of you Noelle traveled through most of the way, flashing her cleavage through her torn clothes like a pervert. Hey. WW, what are you even talking about? Yelled Noelle as she blushed from embarrassment. Really? That's pretty erotic, I mean that's pretty horrible. Said Finral. Nah, that not big of deal. Said Sek, flatly denying Finral's statement. It is a big deal, you idiot. Yelled Noelle as she kicked Sek's leg, only to regret a second later as Sek was in his bronze body spell in preparation to deal with Yami if needed. Noelle immediately crouched down and held her leg, which pained like hell to her. And now you even caused this. Said Sek and pointed at Noelle. Hey, that was totally not my fault. Said Finral. That's not how I see it. Said Sek and crossed his arms. If we were able to come back here using your portal, this wouldn't have happened, you know. Said Sek as he shrugged his shoulder. Ugh, fine, I apologize for my mistake. As your senior I will. You dumbass, I will kill you. Said Yami as he came towards them. Didn't thought he will come this soon. Muttered Sek AMD, then immediately held Finral's shoulders and said, Hey, Yami-san, did you know? Finrak just claimed that you got into that mess because of his fault. Sek said, and then gave Finral a push towards Yami. Hey! Said Yami as he looked at Finral. No Yami-san. That's not. Well then everyone, I will see you all later. Said Sek and then immediately rushed off inside the base. Why yeah, me too. I cannot be in these commoner clothes for very long. Said Noelle as she too immediately left the scene before she got caught in the mess. Seeing her, the smart people in the squad left as well, leaving only Magna, Asta, and Luck still standing in the room along with an enraged Yami and a scared Finral. Oi! Sek! Yelled Finral as he got caught up by Yami, who looked at him with a murderous look on his face. Sek, who was now back in his room, took a deep breath and sighed, that was a close one. Finral, I will replay your sacrifice later. Now then, the moment I have been waiting for. Muttered Sek as his grimoire started flipping once again, and soon a small rectangular transparent plate appeared in his hand. Oh, so the safe can be managed like this as well. Said Sek as he looked at the small smartphone-like plate in his hand. After he passed his magic through the plate, he started examining it and soon saw the list of items that he had stored. I need to dispose off the dungeon rubble, there are those Diamond Kingdom mages as well, thought Sek as his eyes widened in surprise, and immediately he used his spell and the huge safe appeared in his room. Once the door opened, Sek's eyes widened in surprise as he exclaimed, Ins! The skeleton, who heard his name being called, looked at the opened door in front of him and immediately rushed towards Sek and started smacking him with his bony fists while moving his jaws, trying to say something. Sek looked at the skeleton with a confused look on his face and said, I still cannot understand what you are saying. Hearing Wichens looked up at Sek and started at him with his hollow eye sockets and out of nowhere head-butted Sek. But the bronze body Sek didn't feel anything from the headbutt and just rubbed his forehead and said, oh yeah, the dungeon got destroyed, so most probably you don't have a way back to that garden zone. In stared at Sek in disbelief and then fell down on his knees, seeing which Sek felt that the skeleton was feeling sad and decided to pat the skeleton's shoulder, trying to comfort him a bit. Meanwhile Sikre, who saw how Sek was interacting with the skeleton, was looking at the scene with a deadpan look on her face as she started thinking how strange her partner could actually get. Chapter 53, Ins meets the Black Bulls. After comforting Ins for a while, the depressed skeleton finally raised its head and then looked at Sek, seeing which Sek stopped patting his shoulder. Once again, sorry for your loss, but I don't think that there is a way to return back to that dungeon. I am pretty sure it vanished after sustaining too much damage, which was totally not caused by me, said Sek with a sincere look on his face. Both Ins and Sikre, who was looking at the human skeleton pair from afar, stared at Sek with a deadpan look on their faces. Ins opened its mouth, but realizing that he cannot speak anyway, he closed it and then stared at the ceiling. So what are you planning to do now? Asked Sek, to which Ins responded with a shrug. Do you have anywhere to go other than the dungeon? Asked Sek, to which Ins responded by shaking his head in denial. Hey Ins, do you know how to write the language that I am speaking? Asked Sek. Ins looked at Sek and nodded his head, hearing which Sek stood up and took some writing material from his desk and brought it to the skeleton. Ask me the questions that you have and I will try to answer them, said Sek as he gave the paper and pen to Ins. Ins stared at Sek for a while but soon took the items from him and started writing. Oh, your writing is good, even though you don't have proper hands, said Sek. Ins, who heard the praise, scratched his skull, acting a bit bashful, but soon got back onto writing the questions. Where are we? We are currently in my magic squad's base in the Clover Kingdom. What year and month is it? Sek read the questions that Ins wrote and answered them. Seeing that nothing problematic was happening, Sikre came down and sat on Sek's shoulder, which led to Sek introducing the two of them to each other. Ah, make sure to not mess with Sikre. I will become your opponent if you harm her, said Sek and scratched Sikre's chin. Sek, kun food is ready, called Charmy. Sek stood up hearing the call and then looked at Ins. Ins, who noticed Sek's gaze, looked back at him and then tilted his skull. I'm confusion. He is thinking something totally problematic, thought Sikre as she looked at her partner, but just left it at that as she was feeling a bit happy after Sek's declaration just a few moments ago. Sek, who entered the dining room of the headquarters, looked around and found a totally beaten up Finral and gave his apologies and respect to his fallen senior. There were Asta and Magna, who were quite beaten up as well, most probably because they stood back and would have gotten caught by an angered Yami. Hey everyone, said Sek as he called out his squad mates. Hearing Sek's call, Finral immediately glared at him while the others just stared at him, wondering what Sek called them for. There is someone that I want you all to meet. We met at the dungeon, said Sek. Hearing that, Noel, Asta, and Luck looked at Sek with confusion, thinking what Sek was talking about. Oi, did you bring someone to our hideout without my permission? Asked Yami as he bit into some meat. Rather than bringing him, he got caught up with me and was forced to come here, said Sek. Hey, said Yami as he looked at Sek with an expression which said, what the hell do you even mean? Well, meet him first and then we will continue the talk, Ins, said Sek, and soon all of them heard some footsteps. Soon enough Ins came in the room as well and stood beside Sek. Seeing him, everyone's, even Yami's, eyes widened in surprise, seeing which Ins started feeling uncomfortable. Thinking that it was getting awkward, Ins decided to introduce him and raised his head and opened its mouth to say something. Kya! Screamed Noel, which made the other snap out of trance as most of them immediately moved away. Hey! What the hell is that? Said Magna. Is that really a skeleton? Asked Noel. That skeleton is moving on its own, commented Vanessa. Oi! I will kill you if you try anything with my angel, What the hell is that? Asked Asta. Stop making the ruckus! Yelled Yami as he raised his hand to smash the table. La! Save the food! Ordered Charmy as the sheeps immediately took the plates from the table. Oh, so you are my friend's new friend. Then that means we are friends as well, said Gordon in his low voice. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Yami smashed the table in anger, silencing everyone in the room as all of them looked at him for his orders. Ins meet my squad mates, said Sek with a totally unfazed expression on his face, seeing which both Ins and Sikre stared at him with a deadpan look on their faces. Oi, brat, who know what the hell is that? Did you kill someone and brought them back with some magic which made him look like that? Wow, talk about creepy, said Yami as he looked at Sek with a grossed out look on his face. Sek stared at Yami for a while and then said, anyways, guys, meetins, a skeleton that I met at the dungeon who got caught up with my spell and was forced to come here. And Yami-san, close your pants zipper. Showing that off in public. How gross. Immediately all of them looked at Yami's pants and saw that the zipper was indeed open, and Yami immediately closed his zipper. He then stared back at Sek, who looked back at him with a smirk, and both of them continued to stare at each other. Hey, how long are you both going to stare at each other? Till that brat/brute blinks his eye, said both Yami and Sek as they continue their state-off match. Just give up already, yelled Yami. The Dark Lord never gives up. You give up, yelled back Sek as he tried his best to not blink. Ha! As if I will lose to a brat like yo. Achoo! All of a sudden Asta sneezed, making some questionable fluids land on Yami's shoulder. Ah, sorry about that, Capt. I will kill you, said Yami as he grabbed Asta's head. Yet I win, declared Sek, and immediately earned a smack from Sikre for doing something totally pointless. Ah! Captain Yami! How dare you get your snot on me! Yelled Yami as he shook the monolith twerp like a can. Ha ha ha! This is getting exciting, said Luck as he fired some electricity at Magna. Just you wait, you bastard! Yelled Magna as he chased after Luck. La! If no one's eating, then that means more munchies for me, cheered Charmy as she started eating. Ah, we all get along like good friends, said Gordon with a relieved tone. Oh wait, Charmy, I want some as well, said Sek as he went towards Charmy and started eating as well. Meanwhile Ins just looked around, seeing all the eccentric and weird people in the room, and didn't know what to feel about the situation. Chapter 54, Ins Magic. It feels really great to eat something after a mission, said Sek. La, yeah, food tastes even better after work, la. Eat more, Sek kun, said Charmy as she put some more food in Sek's plate. Oh, this is something new, said Sek as he found a new dish that Charmy put in his plate. La, I learned making that just a while ago, said Charmy as she shoved food in her mouth. Here, Sikre, want a bite? Asked Sek as he took some on his fork and moved it in front of Sikre. Sikre stared at it for a while and then pecked into the food. Seemingly enjoying the taste, Sikre took some more from the fork, seeing which Sek took some from his portion and put it on another plate before placing it in front of the bird. Enjoy. What about you, Ins? Sure that you don't want anything? Asked Sek, hearing which the skeleton who was sitting beside his while testing its head on his hand shook his head. He was still not able to believe how the people around him were just ignoring a literal moving skeleton and were busy doing their own stuff. Not to mention he was openly accepted by them and was given a place on the dining table as well. Ins looked at the man beside him and saw him happily enjoying food with a short girl and a bird. Not knowing what to think about that, he looked around and saw a man staring at a picture with blood coming out of his nose, a spooky man looking intently at him, murmuring something which Ames could only comprehend as a curse. Keeping it at the back of his mind, he looked further away and saw a passed-out beautiful with a foolish smile on her face, wearing just her underwear surrounded by bottles of alcohol. Another girl with silver hair occasionally glancing at the monolith shirtless boy with a blush on her face. A pair of boys fighting around the room, throwing around lightning and fire without any care, with the lightning boy having a smile plastered on his face while the delinquent kept cursing at the smiling boy. And finally the man whom all of them referred as the captain, sitting silently drinking some booze and picking his nose. "Hey, you ignored me, didn't you?" said Finral as he looked at Ins and pointed his finger at him. Ins immediately started shaking his head in denial as he raised up his hands in surrender. "Oh yeah, there was a skeleton here, hey," said Yami as he noticed Ins. "You totally forgot about me," mentally yelled Ans as he looked at the Yami. "So what's the deal about him?" asked Yami. "Well, the story goes like this. And that's how I met this skeleton," said Sek after he was done telling his story. That's pretty deep," said Yami with his eyes closed. "Anyways, Finral, get some more booze," said Yami as he put his empty mug in front of Finral. "By the way, what should we do with the mages from the Diamond Kingdom that I caught?" asked Sek. Go to the Magic Knights HQ with Finral tomorrow and hand them in. Who knows, you might get some rewards as well," said Yami. "Yes," said Sek as he did a guts pose. "So what should be done with this skeleton now?" asked Noelle as she pointed at Ins, which made all the squad members focus on him. Seeing the gazes that got fixed on him, Ames tensed up a bit and started looking around in panic. "About that, Yumi-san, can he join the squad?" asked Sek. "Hey!" said both Asta and Noelle as they looked at Sek with shocked look on their faces. You want me to let him join the squad?" I don't think there is any squad out there which have a skeleton amongst their ranks, it sounds cool as well," mumbled Yami. "Then he can rise," said Sek, but before he was able to finish, Yami interjected him. "But why should I let him join? I will give you 2 barrels of your favorite booze as a present," said Sek. "Magna, get a robe for our new member," declared Yami as he looked at the delinquent. I mean as you say, Yumi-san," said Magna as he immediately left the room to get a robe for Ins. "Well then, welcome to the team, Ins," said Sek. "Wait a minute, how is that possible? How can one become a magic knight without giving the exam?" asked Asta. "Oi! I am the captain. Do you have any problems with my decision?" asked Yami as he looked at Asta. "But can he even use magic?" asked Noelle. "Well, even Asta can't use magic, so that's a special case. Haynes, can you use some sort of magic?" asked Sek. Hearing his question, Ins nodded his head, surprising most of them except for Yami and Sek. But then where is your grimoire? And I don't feel any mana from you as well," asked Noelle. "He is suppressing his mana," said Sek. "To a great degree at that," continued Yami as both of them looked at Ins, who just scratched his skull. "Anyways, show us your magic first," said Yami as he looked at Ins. Ins, who heard the question, became hesitant all of a sudden and then looked down. "Hey now, don't put the effort that the Dark Lord put for you go to waste," said Sek as he placed his hand on the Ins' shoulder. Ins looked at Sek, who gave him a thumbs up and said, "Just do it." Ins stared at Sek for a while and then gave a nod, seeing which Sek smirked and gave a nod as well. Ins stood up from his seat and took a few steps back, and immediately after that a huge amount of mana filled the room. "HOH!" said Yami as he looked at the skeleton who just released his mana. What is happening?" asked Asta, who was not able to feel the mana at all. So much," said Luck as sparks started coming out of his body. "That's something, isn't it, Secret?" said Sek, to which Secret gave a nod as well. Ins opened his mouth and soon a red glow appeared inside his mouth and something started coming out of his mouth. Soon after that an object materialized in front of Ins' mouth, which all of them recognized as a grimoire. "That grimoire doesn't belong to any of the 4 kingdoms," thought Yami as he didn't found any symbol on the book from which he could identify his affiliation. "So what kind of magic do you use, Ins?" asked Sek. Mana gathered on Ins' fingertips as a small orb started floating over it. Soon it launched forward and went towards Asta, surprising everyone as all of them got prepared for a fight. "Wait!" said Yami as he ordered his squad to stop the attack. "Whew, looks like my magic is still as effective. Ah, I didn't think that being able to speak again would feel this good," said Asta as he stood up and stretched his body. Hey Bakasada? Are you alright? What happened to your voice?" asked Noel with a slightly panicked tone. "Ah, I am not Asta. I am what you Sekkun call Azins. This is my magic. Possession magic. Said Asta Orans, who have possessed Asta's body. "Wow, interesting. Then does that mean that the skeleton?" said Sek as he looked towards the skeleton but saw that the skeleton was fine as well and was waving his hand. "Don't worry, my body is fine as well, and so is your friend whom I have taken over," said Asta, Ans. "But still this body really have no mana. How strange," said Asta, Ans, as he tried to use the man in his body. "Well, I will give the control back to your friend," said Asta, Ans, and suddenly a burst of red glow came out of Asta's body. "What the hell was that?" yelled Asta as he started feeling his own body, trying to make sure that everything was fine. "Someone was inside you just now," said Sek. "Well, it's fine, right, Yami-san? No problem with him joining the squad?" asked Sek. "Hey, what are you talking about? He is already in," said Yami as he looked at Sek as if he was an idiot. "Hayans? What else can you do? Can you fight? Shall we fight right now?" asked Luck as he immediately approached Ins with an excited look on his face. "Let's become friends from now on," said Gosher as he placed his hand on Ames' shoulder, though to Ames it felt like he was being cursed by the man. "Even if you are a skeleton, I will let you see my angel's photo," said Ghosh as he showed his sister's photo to the skeleton. Well, aren't you a popular one, Hans-kun? Want to have a drink?" said Vanessa as she approached the skeleton with a bottle in her hand. Ins, who was suddenly surrounded by the squad members, got flustered and didn't know what to do. "All right, here you go," said Sek as he took the robe from Magna and placed it around Ins's neck. "Oi! Make sure to take great care of that robe," warned Magna. "Hey Magna-senpai! What about his initiation ceremony?" asked Asta. "Oh! I wanna do it! I wanna do it!" said Luck as he raised his hand. "Oi brat, don't forget about the booze that you promised," said Yami as he looked at Sek. "Hey, what booze?" asked Sek, looking at Yami with a confused look on his face. "Oi! Don't go back on your word," said Yami. "What booze are you talking about? I said that I will get you 2 barrels of your favorite booze. So you will get the barrels, not the booze," said Sek with a smile on his face. "You messing with me? How dare you rig me off?" said Yami as he took out his sword. "I don't know what are you talking about. Now I am going to sleep. Bye." "Congratulations, Ins," said Sek as immediately rushed off the dining room, seeing which Yami got up and chased him as well with a katana in his hand. Ins, who saw the group of irregulars surrounding him, was not sure how to feel about this situation, but in the end he still felt happy being accepted by them. "Thank you, Sek," thought Ins as he looked at Sek, who was being whirled around like a rag by Yami. Chapter 55, Magic Knights HQ. The next day after Ins was accepted into the squad, Sek woke feeling refreshed after completing the mission and dealing with the hassle named Yami, who kept attacking Sek for quite a while for tricking him. Standing up and stretching his body a bit, Sek scratched his back and looked around the room and saw Sikray sleeping in her bed and decided to let her rest for a bit longer and quietly leave the room to finish his morning routine before Yami wakes up. After finishing his morning routine and training, Sek returned back and saw that a few people were already awake. "Good morning," said Sek. Sikray, who heard his voice, looked at him and saw that Sek was completely drenched in sweat and went to the room to get him a towel. "Oh, good morning, my friend. It's a beautiful morning. Let's do something fun together. muttered Gordon. Good morning Sek-kun. Want to eat something la? Asked Charmy. Sure. Replied Sek with an excited tone and then saw Secret who came to him with a towel in her beak. Thank you Secret. Said Sek as he took the towel from her and wiped his sweat. Sek-kun, we will be going to the HQ so make sure to be prepared. Said Finral. All right. By the way, where is Ins? Asked Sek. Asta is giving him a tour around the base. Replied Finral as he looked up from a book he was reading. Oh, looks like he is getting along, well, good for him. Said Sek and sighed in relief. He felt a bit guilty for bringing Ins out of his home like that, but seeing that the skeleton himself didn't mind that and was getting along with others made him a bit relieved. After having his breakfast and taking a bath, Sek came to the main hall of the HQ and stood in front of Yami along with Finral. Alright Finral, take him to the Magic Knight's HQ and deal with the troubles. Make sure to deliver the goods properly. Said Yami. Why are you saying it like we are going to deliver some drugs? Questioned Sek. Yami just ignored him and took out a letter from his pocket and said, deliver it to Julius. And gave it to Sek. Hey? We are going to meet the Wizard King? Asked Finral with a shocked tone. Well, he selected the brat for the mission, so I am sure that he would like to meet him. Said Yami. All right. Said Sek as he put the letter in his pocket and looked at Secret. You coming? Asked Sek, hearing which Secret just flew and sat on his shoulder. I wanna go as well. Said Asta. No. You will be called if you are required to report. Said Yami. But Sek is going as well. Said Asta. He is going to send the diamond guys that he caught. Now go you two shoo, said Yami as he sat back on his seat and shooed Finral and Sek. Finral sighed and opened the portal and said, let's go Sek-kun. Alright everyone, see you later. See you guys later. Said Sek as he entered the portal along with Finral. Ha, it feels really good to be here in the capital. Exclaimed Finral as he looked around. Oh, a beautiful lady is over there. Said Finral as he immediately moved towards the first beautiful girl that he saw. Sek looked at the man who was the one who was going to lead him and sighed, seeing that he easily drifted away. Well, let's just leave him as a compensation for having him take on Yumi-san yesterday. Muttered Sek. Well then Secret, looks like we are the only ones to do the job. Secret patted his head with her wing, comforting her partner. Well, aren't you a caring one? Now, let's head towards the Magic Knight's building. After walking for a while, enjoying the view of the streets and ignoring the few people who sneered seeing his robe, Sek and Secret reached the Magic Knight's HQ. Entering the building, Sek looked around and was shocked seeing how beautiful the building's interior was and thought, just how much gold is used to decorate this place. Looking around for a while, Sek headed towards the place that looked like the reception and saw a handsome man and woman standing there. Excuse me. Sek stood in front of the man and called out to him. The man looked at Sek and was a bit surprised seeing that it was a man who called out to him, since most of the times the one dealing with males was the lady beside him while he mostly dealt with females. And to be honest, he felt a bit relieved that he talked to him, since always dealing with women was too much for him. The man even disregarded the fact that the person in front of him was a black bull and greeted him with a smile. Greetings. Welcome to the Magic Knight's HQ. What request do you have? I along with my squad were sent on a mission and I caught some mages from the Diamond Kingdom. So I would like to hand them over. Said Sek nonchalantly. Immediately after he said that, most of not all the eyes and ears were on him, looking at him with shocked looks on their faces. The man gave a cough and said, is that so? Just wait a minute, I will relay this information to the higher-ups immediately. Can you please tell me your name and the mission that you were assigned to? Sek Bronzaza from the Black Bulls, and the mission assigned to us was about the recent dungeon exploration near the border between the Clover and Diamond Kingdoms. Said Sek. After hearing what the mission assigned to him was and knowing how important was it, the people near Sek started to look at him in disbelief, thinking how could such an important mission could be handed to the Black Bulls. The receptionist on the other hand immediately left to inform the higher-ups about the case, leaving Sek amidst of a curious crowd. "Ha, did you see how shocked they were, Secret? Well, not their fault, the Dark Lord is just that awesome, you know," said Sek in a low volume as he looked at Secret, who sighed and thought, "I knew that he was acting like that on purpose." "Seriously?" Secret looked at Sek, who had a smile on his face, and just shook her head and thought, well, that kinds of things makes him unique and interesting, and are the things that I and just enjoyed the happy aura that Sek was radiating. Chapter 56, Julius Novacrono. Sek, who was left in front of the reception desk, started looking around, checking out the room he was in. Seeing the magic knight, the others in the room started whispering to each other, wanting to know if Sek belonged to a noble family or not. Sek, on the other hand, totally ignored them and looked towards Secret and asked, "How about it, Secret? Are there any high mana capacity people here?" Secret, who heard Sek's question, closed her eyes and started focusing, and then pointed at the female receptionist. So is she not just looks? How is it compared to mine?" asked Sek, to which Secret just gestured that it was just so when compared to his. Suddenly both Secret and Sek widened their eyes in surprise as both of them felt a huge amount of closing in towards them. Both of them looked towards the direction they felt the presence from, and soon noticed the captains of Crimson Lions and Silver Eagles coming out. Immediately all the eyes that were on Sek shifted towards the two royals who just came in the hall, as the people who wanted to butter them up started thinking of ways to approach them. Even the female receptionist started fixing her appearance, checking if there were any problems, and then looked towards the captains with a smile on her face. But the two captains who just came out stopped on their tracks and glanced at Sek, as they too felt the huge amount of mana in his body and recognized him as the dual grimoire boy. Sek, who saw the two captains looking at him, did the magic knight salute, seeing which the captains gave a nod to him and then started walking away. "Wasn't that the dual grimoire kid who rejected William?" asked Fuego Leon. "Yes," replied Noisel. "I heard from Marx that the Wizard King has been keeping an eye on him for a while," said Fuego Leon. "He keeps an eye on anyone that seems interesting to him. It's not surprising that he is interested in someone who possesses two grimoires," said Nozel. "Haha, he is interesting. Some of my squad members joined him on a mission, and they told me that it was a loss for normal person with outstanding abilities was sent to the Black Bulls," said Fuego Leon. Doesn't matter. He is still not out of suspicion," said Noisel. Fuego Leon didn't say anything and just looked at the silver-haired man, and then decided to part ways with him and go to their own squads. "That was something. Who thought that I will see two squad captains here?" said Sek. "Excuse me, sir," said the receptionist man who just returned. "Yes. The Wizard King is requesting your presence," said the man. Sek nodded and was then led by the same man to the room where the Wizard King will be meeting him. "This is the room," said the man as he gave a nod and then left Sek, who was looking towards the door with a shocked look on his face, and the same was with Secret. "That's some crazy amount of mana that is coming out of this room," muttered Sek, to which Secret nodded as well, as both of them felt that the amount coming from the room was equal if not slightly greater than Sek's. Sek soon calmed himself and then decided to enter the room and gave a knock on the door. "Who is there?" called a voice from inside. "Sek Bronzeza from the Black Bulls. I was told that I need to come here and meet the Wizard King," replied Sek. Soon after that the door opened and a slim man with mushroom-cut blue hair appeared. "Come in, the Wizard King is expecting you," said the man as he walked in, making way for Sek to enter. Sek entered the room and saw a blonde man who was emitting the huge amount of man sitting behind a desk wearing a red cloak. "Welcome, Sek-kun. I have heard quite a lot about you," said the Wizard King. Sek immediately gave the magic knight salute and said, "It's an honor to meet you, Wizard King." "Oh, so you know me?" said Julius. "Well, yes, but actually no. Feeling your mana amount, I guessed that you should be the Wizard King," said Sek. "Oh, so he is able to feel my mana even after I suppressed it that much?" How is he doing it? Is that some kind of magic? Thought Julius as his eyes started glittering. Julius's gaze soon moved towards Sek's grimoires and immediately curiosity took over him as he disappeared from his chair and appeared in front of Sek and asked, "Hey, you have 2 grimoires, right? What type of magic do you use? Does both grimoires use different magic? Was that a magic by which you were able to feel my mana? Why is there an anti-bird on your shoulder?" Seeing Julius rapid-firing his question, Sek looked at him awkwardly, not knowing what to answer first, and said, about my grimoires. Yes, both grimoires allows me to use different magic. First is my bronze magic grimoire and the other one is a debuff magic," said Sek. "Oh. A metal-based magic. And debuff magic. What kind of magic is that? How does it work?" asked Julius, the glint in his eyes getting brighter and brighter. "Julius-sama. You should not act like that," said the mushroom-cut Marx. Julius, who heard Marx's complaint, looked at him with his glittering eyes and said, "But Marx, aren't you excited after hearing about this new magic?" "Julius-sama, you still have work that you need to do," said Mark without any change in his expression. Seeing that Julius's shoulders slumped down, seeing which Sek said, "That magic is rather complex to use, but is very effective if you know how to use it. I can also combine the spells from different grimoires in certain conditions." "Oh. Can you show me that kind of spell? Combination magic is very rare and hard to pull off. Not to mention you can use 2 spells at the same time," said Julius as he got excited once again, seeing which Marx frowned and looked at Sek with a blaming look on his face. Seeing Marx's gaze, Sek ignored the mushroom-cut man and said, "Oh, before I forget, Yami-san told me to give this to you," and handed the letter Yami gave him to Julius. Said Julius as he snapped out of his nerd mode and took the letter from Sek and opened it. After going through it for a while, Julius smiled and thought, "Looks like there is no need to worry. Sek-kun doesn't seem to have grimoire stealing abilities, if what Yami wrote in here is true." Julius then looked at Sek and said, "Now then, forgive me for this, but let me introduce myself formally. I am Julius Novacrano, the 28th Wizard King of the Clover Kingdom. Sek Bronzeza of the Black Bulls," said Sek. "Alright Sek-kun, shall we get on to the main topic for now? Yami wrote in this letter that you have captured some high-ranking people from the Diamond Kingdom," said Julius. "Yes, there is an old man named Lotus and a boy named Mars, who are high-ranking individuals amongst the ones that I captured," said Sek. Good job. But where are they?" asked Julius. "They are trapped in one of my spells. Should I take them out?" asked Sek. You have storage magic as well?" exclaimed Julius as his eyes started glittering once again. "Yes. I recently acquired it," said Sek. "Oh. Show me. Show me," said Julius. "Julius-sama. Sek, right. I appreciate the fact that you captured them. Please follow me to the prison and let them out there," said Marx as he reprimanded Julius and then asked Sek to follow him. "I will go as well," said Julius as he looked at Marx with his glittering eyes, and before anyone could say something he grabbed Sek's shoulder and started pushing him towards the prison. "Ha, what am I even going to do with that man? He should know how to behave in front of the new magic knights," said Marx as he followed Julius and Sek, who were already far away from the blue mushroom guy. Chapter 57, Prison. Sek, who was forcefully taken to the prison by Julius, just looked at his surroundings and saw a lot of people behind the cages wearing similar type of clothes. "That lady is looking kind of sexy," thought Sek as he looked at one of the female prisoners who had a beautiful appearance, but soon looked away from her when he saw her servicing one of the rather bulky-looking man who most probably is at the top of the hierarchy of the prisoners. "I will suggest them to separate the prisoners by gender later," thought Sek as he looked away, not missing the bird who was staring at him. "All right Sek-kun, show that magic to me," said Julius as he finally stopped inside an empty jail cell and then urged Sek to show his magic. Just wait a minute, you magic nerd! Yelled Marx, who finally caught up to them and then slumped down and started taking deep breaths. At least get some guards here, before you do that, said Marx, whole panting. It's all right, Marx, I am quite confident in my ability, you know, said Julius. Those people were no match for the Dark Lord before, and that case still will be the same, said Sek. Marx looked at the two weirdos in front of him and just massaged his temples to ease his headache. All right then, if you are that unsure, why not you just stand outside the prison cell? I will take them out after that, said Sek. I cannot do that. I cannot just leave the side of Julius Sama, said Marx. Now, it's all right, Marx. Don't worry that much. Now then, Sek-kun, said Julius. Sek gave a nod and then his grimoire started floating beside him and started flipping. Bronze creation magic, eternal safe. As Sek used his spell, a huge amount of mana gathered, which surprised Marx, while Julius's eyes started glittering at the sight of the spell. Soon the futuristic-looking safe appeared in front of them as Julius just started admiring the safe and started touching it all over. Oh my god, there is so much mana contained in this structure. Its structure is quite unique, but it looks like a safe. I cannot open it, said Julius. Only I can do that, Julius-sama. So can you please step back so that I can open it, said Sek. Oh, is that so? Caster recognition as well. What a great spell, said Julius as he moved back and stood beside Sek. Sek then opened the safe, and as the door of the safe opened, both Marx's and Julius's eyes widened in surprise. Oh, Dark Lord Kun. Good morning, said Lotus, who was buried in a heap of gold and rubble mixed together. Good morning, old man, you seem oddly calm, said Sek. I am very calm and collected person after all. But seriously, get me out of here, something is poking my behind and I do not want to know what that is, said Lotus as he looked at Sek. By the way, who are these people? Your friends? Where are we, by the way? Asked Lotus as he tried his best to not move an inch. Let me introduce you. Julius-sama, this is the old man called Lotus, the leader of the mages whom we confronted back in the dungeon. An old man, the one in front of you is the wizard king of our kingdom. You are in a prison, by the way, said Sek. Yahoo, nice to meet you, said Julius as he raised his hand to greet the person who was stuck in the pile of gold and rubble. Oh, such important people came to see me. I am honored, said Lotus with a respectful tone, and he nodded his head to greet the Wizard King back. Haha, it's not a big deal. By the way, what type of magic do you use? Asked Julius with glittering eyes as he turned into his nerd mode. Now is not the time for that, said Marx as he came forward, and they used his communication magic to call some people to catch the people from Diamond Kingdom. How many of them are there in total, Sek-kun? Is he the only one? Asked Julius. Mumbled Sek as he then used his magic to turn the safe's mouth downwards as everything inside of it started falling out. Ah! Hey, there are elderly in here, said Lotus as he fell on his face. These many people, and this is all the treasure that I was able to gather, said Sek. Of course the rest of the treasure is stored in other place of the safe. After all, just having people in that big safe would have aroused suspicion. So I just threw in some gold and rubble in there along with the men. I am genuinely Dark Lord. What else can you expect of me, thought Sek as he looked at Julius without any change in his expression. As much as of an idiot he is sometimes, his brain really does work in matters regarding this. Not to mention, his poker face is great as well, thought Sekre as she looked at her partner as she knew what Sek has done. Good work, Sek-kun. You were not only able to catch them but also, gather some treasure from a collapsing dungeon. You are a very brave magic knight. said Julius, hearing which Sek smirked and said, "It was nothing." Sek then looked at the people whom he caught and then noticed that an heavily injured Mars was there as well with flames surrounding him. So he was there as well. "He is barely alive though," muttered Sek as he walked towards the injured Mars. "Dark Lord Kun, thank you for saving us. But it doesn't look like he can survive. He is barely hanging on to his life with his magic, though it is all over once that is used up as well," said Lotus as he looked at Sek with a grateful look and then shifted his gaze to Mars. Sek didn't say anything as he didn't feel much about it since the man who was barely alive tried to kill his teammates. Not to mention Noel was injured a lot because of him. "You fought well." That was all that Sek said to Mars and just took a step back from him. Seeing that all the Diamond Kingdom mages who were still conscious looked at the boy who had some flames surrounding him and then looked towards Julius. Julius, who was now the center of attention, just looked at the scene with a calm look on his face. "Seeing how you all are acting, it seems like that boy is someone important to the Diamond Kingdom. We cannot let such a valuable source of information die just like that, now can we, Marx?" said Julius. "Sigh, it's just as you say, Julius-sama," said Marx as he helplessly shook his head, knowing what the Wizard King was thinking. Julius pointed his hand towards Marx and in an instant his wounds started healing at a rapid speed and soon all the deep wounds were healed, making the injured Mars, who was frowning from pain, look a bit relieved. "He will be fine now," said Julius. Sek just stood silent and just watched the scene in front of him, but then his gaze moved towards the Wizard King. Good for him, thought Sek as he collected back the gold in his storage and then left the prison cell after the guards came and cuffed the Diamond Kingdom mages using some magical cuffs which prevented them from using magic. "Julius-sama. What is it, Sek-kun? If it is not too much to ask, would you have a mock battle with me?" said Sek with a determined look on his face. Immediately Marx, Julius, and Secret stopped walking and looked at Sek with shocked look on their faces. "Hey, what are you?" said Marx, but Julius raised his hand, making the blue mushroom head stop. "Why do you want to do that, Sek-kun? I want to see how much time will I require." "For what?" asked Julius with a confused tone. "To surpass you," said Sek, surprising all of them once again. Julius stared at Sek for a while and thought, how much time will I require? Hey! It seems like he is confident that he will surpass me. Julius smiled, seeing which Sek smirked as well, knowing that he will get the chance to fight the Wizza. "Sorry, Sek-kun. Not possible," said Julius, making Sek's whole body stiffen up at the totally different answer to what he was thinking. Chapter 58, Joke. Sek, who was outright rejected by Julius, silently walked out of the Magic Knight's HQ since Julius was taken away by Marx before he could even ask why he was rejected in the first place. Damn, didn't expected to be rejected so straightforwardly. "Alright Secret, let's just go around the town and ease my sorrows," said Sek as he sighed and then headed towards the market area of the town. Secret, who patted his head with her wing trying to comfort him, seeing which Sek chuckled and soon kept the whole matter with Julius at the back of his mind. "Well, I will surpass him one day anyway. Just focus on my goal and let's be the great Dark Lord I am," thought Sek as he and Cell soon found Finral with a slap mark on his cheek. "Not a word," warned Finral as he saw Sek, who opened his mouth to say something but soon closed it after he heard the warning. "Well, I am done with the matter at the Magic Knight's headquarters." "Eh? Really?" "Yes, so now let's go and get something to eat. You must have tired and exhausted after." "Well, let's just go," said Sek as he placed his hand around Finral's shoulders and soon started leading him towards a restaurant. "You really don't have any respect for your senpai," said Finral in a dejected tone. "Hey, how can you say something like that? Even though not much, I still respect you," said Sek with a hurt look on his face. "Increase the respect, you idiot," complained Finral, to which Sek just laughed. A week passed by since Sek and the others returned from the dungeon. During the week, Asta, who got his new sword, decided to get familiar with it, and Noelle got back to her magic control training. Sek, who felt responsible for Ins, decided to help him blend in and got him some clothes that covered his body and a mask and wig to hide his appearance. Ins himself tried to get along with the group of irregulars and mostly used Asta to talk to others since his body was the easiest to take over compared to others. Sek himself got back to his routine of training, even getting a day to get trained by Yami, which in short could be summed up as Yami kicking Sek's ass very easily since they only practiced with the sword. Just like that, the days of the rookies if the Black Bulls passed by, and currently standing in front of Yami, Asta, and Noel were being given some instructions by their captain. It's been a week since you all returned back from the dungeon. You both need to go to the Magic Knights HQ to submit your reports on that mission, said Yami. We are going to the capital. Yay, I can fight a lot of strong guys there, exclaimed Luck. Luck, you will be going with Magna on a mission, informed Yami. Okay, let's go, Magna, said Luck with a smile on his face as he fired some electricity at Magna. You bastard! I will kill you, declared Magna as he chased after Luck, who ran away from the room. Wait a minute, then whom are we going with? Asked Noel. Well, letting Luck go to the capital would have caused trouble. Where is that other brat? Asked Yami. Sek? He must be doing his training, said Asta. Call him as well. All right, exclaimed Asta as he saluted and ran out as well to fetch Sek. What the hell am I doing here? Thought Noel as she was left behind with Yami as the situation started turning awkward. Yami blew out some smoke from his mouth and said, what the hell is taking him so long? He only went a minute ago, thought Noel as she looked at her captain, who had an annoyed look on his face. Oi, brat! Yes, said Noel in a loud tone as she stood straight. Tell me a joke, ordered Yami as he sat back on his seat and looked at Noel. Noel, who was suddenly ordered by Yami to tell a joke, looked at him wanting to ask whether he was joking or not, but decided to shut up seeing the annoyed look on his face. What the hell are you waiting for? Asked Yami. You Captain Yami. I am back and I brought Sek as well, announced Asta as he ran towards Yami. Asta. Thank God I am saved, cheered Noel in her mind as she looked at the monolith shorty. Shut up. You are too loud, said Yami in an annoyed tone as he kicked the approaching Asta. Why? What's the matter, Yami-san? Asked Sek, totally ignoring Asta, who just sent flying by Yami's kick. Oh, brat! You need to go to the capital to report about the mission. Is that so? Fine, I will go and take a bath real quick, said Sek, who was feeling sweaty after the training and left the room as well. Hey kid, I am still waiting for the joke, said Yami as he looked at Noel. Why me? Alright, let's get going, said Sek as he and the other two rookies came out of the portal. That man is the worst, screamed Noel as she let out her rage. I know, but we can't do anything about it, said Sek as he patted Noel's back to calm her down. Hey, what are you two talking about? Asked the clueless Asta, which earned him a smack from Noel. Sek just let the royal Tsundere calm herself down, and once she was done he started leading the two of them to the Magic Knights HQ. Hey, those guys are here as well, said Sek as he pointed towards the Golden Dawn members who joined them on the dungeon raid. Oi! You know! Called Asta. Hearing his shout, the Golden Dawn members stopped and then turned around. Oh! Asta, Sek! Are the two of you all right? Asked Klaus as he rushed towards them. Hey, be in your character. Hearing what Sek said, Klaus stood straight and then adjusted his glasses. I am so glad that you two are fine, said Klaus as he patted Sek's and Asta's shoulders. He is totally ignoring Noel, thought Sek, but just remained quiet as he felt that it was the best choice. Chapter 59, Dream. After Klaus was done checking up on Asta's and Sek's condition, he sighed in relief that the two of them were fine. You know, thanks for giving us a ride at that time, said Sek. Don't worry, it wasn't a big deal, Still, when we reached back to our HQ, we came to know that our way of returning was with Asta. Knowing him, he would have not even been aware of that. Yup. Oi! Don't make fun of me! Complained Asta as he looked at Sek and Yuno, who were talking to each other. Oh! Mimosa, thanks to your magic I am totally fine, said Asta as he raised his hand and looked at the ginger head royal. Yeah, thanks to you magic I didn't suffer that much, said Sek with a grateful tone. Even though Sek didn't receive any fatal wounds, there were still some on his body that would have hurt a lot, and despite being used to that much pain, he was glad that Mimosa healed his injuries. Mimosa, who was being praised by the two of them, immediately turned around and ran away. Wah! What was that? Asked Asta. She must have been scared by your abnormally short height, said Yuno. Hey! What do you mean by that? Well, he is not wrong. You are short. Shrimpsta. Sek, you bastard. Seeing the boys talking amongst themselves, Noel, who was totally ignored by them, went towards Mimosa. Hey Mimosa! What's wrong? Asked Noel. And Noel-san. I don't know what is wrong with me. Hey, what happened? Are you still injured somewhere? Asked Noel with a worried look on her face. But Mimosa shook her head and then looked towards Noel with a blush on her cheeks. Why, you know, whenever I look at Sek-san my chest feels tight, said Mimosa as she glanced at Sek. Huh. Ever since that day, the only thing that I can think of is Sek-san, said Mimosa as she. WW what? Exclaimed Noel as she heard what her fellow royal just said. WW, wait a minute Mimosa. Sek is just a commoner and is crude. And even though he helps me a lot with my magic control and talks kindly to me and is very dependable, wait, why am I praising him? Oh, so he is a kind person as well. Though I guess that's what he was like. He was kind back when we first met as well, said Mimosa with a happy expression on her face. Noel, who saw her bright smile, felt embarrassed and then glanced towards the boys. Humph, I guess he is not that bad despite being a commoner. But, I will see whether he is good enough for Mimosa or not, thought Noel as she looked back at Mimosa, who was blushing and was making weird sounds. It's fine Mimosa. I don't think there is anything wrong with you, said Noel as she tried to reassure her fellow royal. Noel-san. Are you really sure that there is nothing wrong with me? Yeah, I am sure about that, after all I am experienced as well, you know, said Noel with a proud tone as she puffed up her chest. Experienced in what? Asked Mimosa with a puzzled look on her face, seeing which Noel turned silent as she started imagining various events that happened with her and Asta. Ugh! Noel held her head and started blushing as well, seeing which Sek, who was at a distance where he couldn't hear them at all, shook his head and patted Asta's shoulder. What? You are a sinful man. Hey? Why? Asked Asta as he thought that Sek was telling him that he did something bad. Alright, enough chit-chat, let's continue heading towards the Magic Knight's headquarters, said Sek as he clapped his hands, gathering everyone's attention. Yes, we should not waste our time here. Let's start moving, said Klaus as all of them once again started moving towards the Magic Knight's HQ. If I remember correctly, this is the way to the Magic Knight's HQ, muttered Klaus. Don't worry, I came here a week ago so I know the direction, just follow me, said Sek as he took the role of leading them. Soon all of them saw the building that they were headed to, and immediately Asta got excited seeing such a huge and magnificent building. Even Yuno was awestruck by the sight in front of him. But Sek pulled them out of trance and continued to walk towards the building. Alright Asta, I know there is no point is telling you this, but please make sure to mind your behavior, said Sek. Don't worry Sek. I know how to behave, replied Asta in a loud tone. Sek and Yuno just looked at Asta with a deadpan look on their faces and just shook their heads. I don't have much expectations from him anyway, thought both of them as they looked back towards the building. As they got closer to the building, Sek felt a familiar magic energy and immediately got serious. "Why, your majesty?" muttered Klaus with a shocked expression as he saw Julius standing in front of them. Mimosa and Noel and same expressions as well, and soon the three of them kneeled in front of him. "Hey, who is this flashy old dude?" asked Asta. "Yup, no use of asking you to mind your manners," said Sek as he face-palmed. "Idiot! How dare you say something like that to the Wizard King Julius Navakrano-sama?" exclaimed Klaus. Hearing that, both Asta and Yuno got shocked and Yuno kneeled as well. Asta was then forced by Klaus to kneel, after which the bespectacled noble looked at Sek to kneel as well, only to find him heading towards the Wizard King himself. "Greetings, Wizard King Sama. My captain asked me to hand this letter to you," said Sek as he took out a letter that Yami gave him. "Oh, Sek-kun. Thank you for this. And greetings to you as well. Now why don't all of you follow me?" said Julius as he took the letter from Sek and gestured them to follow him. Seeing that the ones who were kneeling stood up and started following Julius, who was reading the letter that he got from Sek. Soon all of them were taken to an empty area where no one was nearby to hear them as they gave the mission report to the Wizard King. And just like Sek expected, the Wizard King immediately turned into his nerd mode as he saw Yuno's grimoire and Asta's new anti-magic sword. Once they were done explaining how their mission went, Asta immediately came forward and asked, "Can I ask you something?" Yuno, who noticed how Asta was acting, understood what he wanted to ask and came forward as well. "How does someone become the Wizard King?" asked both of them in unison, hearing which Julius started laughing. "Oh, so the both of you want to become the Wizard King, hey? You idiots!" yelled Klaus as he looked at the Yuno and Asta. "How can you two be so tactless and ask His Majesty something like that? Listen, you two having a noble heart and trust from the people of the kingdom." But Julius interrupted Klaus by raising his hand and said, "No. It's merit that matters the most. Having a noble heart means nothing if you can't protect the people. And trust can be gained by gaining merit." He then looked at Asta and Yuno with a serious look on his face and asked, "Do you know what the people expect from the Wizard King?" In response to the question, both Asta and Yuno just stared intently at Julius. "It's the merit that makes the people of the kingdom expect that the Wizard King can protect them, that makes them realize that you are the best," said Julius as he looked towards Sek. "Do you aspire to be the Wizard King as well?" "It's similar. My dream is to surpass all the Wizard Kings. To become such a great person that not only does my name goes down in history, but also make others to look up to me and think, I want to be like him. Just like how the first Wizard King was. Till this day his title is given as an honor to someone. Well, in simple words, my dream is that I want to be the very best, like no one ever was," said Sek. Hearing that, all of them looked at Sek in silence, but soon a smile appeared on Julius's face and with a sagely nod he said, "That is indeed quite a great and difficult dream you have. It's a dream that is worthy of being called the Dark Lord's dream," replied Sek with a confident and proud expression on his face. "Haha, well, nevertheless, your dream as well requires you to gain a lot of merit. And if you want to be the very best, then the merit that you will require is way more than you can imagine. It won't be fun if it would have been easy in the first place." "Is that so? Well, anyways, before you guys came here we were in the middle of holding a decoration ceremony for the knights who were rewarded an outstanding number of stars," said Julius. "Decorat," said Asta with a puzzled look on his face. "Decoration ceremony? It is a ceremony to reward those who have done really well. I would like if you all could join." "Really?" exclaimed Asta. "Yeah, now follow me," said Julius as he led them to the room where the ceremony would occur. "Now Asta and Yuno, you said that you wanted to become the next Wizard King, right? In that case, do both you think that you can accumulate more merits than these guys?" The door then opened and the sight of 3 squad captains and some members of their squad came enter their eyes. Chapter 60, Decoration Ceremony. Entering the room where the decoration ceremony was about to take place, Sek immediately felt an intense gaze making him stop for an instant. Turning his head towards the direction where he felt the gaze from, Sek saw a familiar black-haired big-chested witch looking at him with an expressionless face. Well, I guess Anna is being Anna. Smiling awkwardly towards the Crimson Lion Magic Knight, Sek waved his hand, seeing which Anna waved back at him. Julius, who was talking with Marx about something, looked around the room, making all the people who were present in there curious. But soon Julius smiled and said, "Well, looks like everyone is finally here." Following Julius's gaze, everyone saw a portal appear near the door, and soon Yami came out with a cigarette in his mouth. "Yo!" Hearing Yami's casual greeting, everyone in the room frowned except for the Wizard King, who just smiled, and the Magic Knights captains, who face-palmed at Yami's greetings. "Yami-san? Why are you here?" asked Sek. "Why do you think? It's all your fault, you brat. Because of you I was not able to go to the pub." Looking at Sek with an annoyed look, Yami smacked his head. "Hey? What does that even mean?" asked an angry Sek, who was suddenly beaten for no reason. "Now that all of us are finally here, let's start the decoration ceremony." Everyone once again focused back on Julius, making Sek stop himself from retaliating against his captain. "PSST, brat!" whispered Yami. "What? You see that braided bangs guy? You mean Capitaine Nozzle? Yeah, braided bangs guy. When I give you my signal, use that poop urge enhancing spell of yours on him." Immediately looking at Yami to check if he was serious or not, Sek was left speechless by what just came out of Yami's mouth. "Are you really serious?" "Yeah, it will be a good sight," said Yami with a smile. Nodding his head, Sek turned back to look towards Julius, who was done with the introductory speech of the ceremony. "With 7 stars earned, Leopold Vermilion of the Crimson Lion Kings, I grant you the title of Intermediate Magic Knight, 2nd class." A boy from Crimson Lions stepped forward and walked towards Julius, who presented him with something that looked like a medal. He then gave some words of praise and some pointers to the young Vermilion before the boy went back to stand amongst his squad members. "With 6 stars earned, Anna Flare of the Crimson Lion Kings, I grant you the title of Intermediate Magic Knight, 3rd class." Hearing her name called out, Anna stepped forward, and the same events followed, with her getting a medal and some praise and advice from the Wizard King. After getting her medal, while returning back, Anna glanced at Sek, who on noticing her gaze smiled and gave her a thumbs up, making the expressionless girl feel happy. The ceremony continued, with members from various squads being called out and getting awarded by Julius. Sek, who waiting for Yami to give his signal, was totally not interested in the ceremony, as he knew that if he screwed up what Yami asked of him, he will get his ass kicked by his squad captain. And finally, with 10 stars earned, Sek Bronzeza of the Black Bulls, I grant you the title of Senior Magic Knight, 3rd class. Sek, who was not focusing when heard his name being called out, gave out a surprised voice and looked towards Julius with a confused look on his face. Everyone in the room, even Sek's friends, looked at him with surprised looks on their faces, since none of them ever thought that a Black Bull member will get such an award. Finally snapping out of trance, Sek moved forward and stood in front of Julius. Smiling at the blonde-haired boy in front of him, Julius gave the medal to Sek, who looked at it with a smile. "Although being just a newly recruited magic knight, you showed how capable you are with your strong and durable magic." Taking the medal from Julius, Sek smiled with a confident look on his face. "I thank you, Your Majesty." Returning back towards his squad mates, Sek noticed Anna, who was looking at him with an expressionless look on her face and with her fists clenched. Seeing that Sek was looking at her, she gave him thumbs up, seeing which Sek chuckled. "See, secret, my first step to be recognized as the Dark Lord. The first chapter in the tale of my glorious purpose." Secret, who was sitting on top of Asta's head, returned back and sat on Sek's shoulder and looked at the medal. "Congratulations, Sek." Klaus, who saw that Sek was back, immediately congratulated him. He sincerely felt happy for Sek, seeing which Sek felt good as well. "Thanks. See this, Asta, Noel. Do you know what does this mean?" Seeing that his fellow rookies shook their heads, Sek grinned and said, this means that from this moment on I am actually your superior. Immediately the two frowned as they heard what Sek told them. Asta was about to retort but Yami stepped forwards and said, "Good job, brat. Now did you see how was it your fault that I was unable to go to the pub? If you didn't get that many stars then I would not have to attend this, whatever it is called, ceremony to begin with. You better treat me to some booze. You got that?" Sek, who was excited after getting his medal, immediately agreed to treating Yami. "I know that it will put a burden on my salary, but still it's fine. He did help me a lot by arranging all those missions for me, though I guess he was just pushing them on me, but still I really appreciate his help," Sek thought as he looked at Yami with a grateful look on his face. Interrupting Sek and the others, Julius smiled and said, "Well done all of you. Now then, there's a simple reception set up for you, so go and enjoy yourselves. Oh, I almost forgot. I've invited some special guests today. Make sure you get to know each other well." Saying that, Julius soon left the room as Marx informed him something. While Julius was leaving, everyone was focused on him, seeing which Yami immediately gave his signal. Not even wasting a second, Sek gathered magic energy on his fingers without using his grimoire so as to not gather attention, and fired a small and weak, yet effective spell towards the captain of the Silver Eagles. Yami immediately covered Sek from Nozel's sight and after waited for Julius to leave as both him and Sek fist bumped, seeing that their plan went without any problems. Chapter 61, The Captain Under Pressure. "Well then, brats, I will now go talk with the braided bangs, and the others. Can't miss the fun, now do we?" Saying that, Yami walked towards the captain of Silver Eagles, not wanting to let the silver head get out of here. Sek, who understood what he meant, just shook his head and said, "I want to see that as well, but it's better to not get anywhere close to them." Oh, there goes the Blue Rose captain slowly following Yami. "Congratulations, Sek-kun." Popping out of nowhere, Anna stood behind Sek and immediately congratulated him, making Sek, who was focusing on the captains, jump up a bit from surprise. "Thanks, congratulations to you as well, Anna. How have you been?" "I am great. It's been a while since we last met." "It sure is. Let me introduce you to them." Saying so, Sek, who was being looked by his fellow squad mates and the Golden Dawn members he knew, turned towards them and introduced them to Anna. "Seeing this, I can conclude that there are two bitches near Sek-kun," Anna thought as she looked at Noelle and Mimosa with her usual expressionless face. The royals who were being stared at by the Crimson Lion Mage were confused as to why she was staring at them, but soon noticed a small smirk on Anna's lips, which was followed by her crossing her arms and lifting her boobs, which clearly showed the two royals who was the dominating one amongst the three of them. "Sek-kun, want to eat something?" Immediately after showing the difference in prowess, a slightly smug Anna looked towards Sek and took him towards a free table. "Oh, I want to eat as well," said Asta as she followed Sek and Anna. The other boys followed as well, leaving behind Mimosa and Noelle, who were still a bit surprised and felt that they were somehow mocked by Anna and Gerchest. Both of them looked down towards their boobs, and immediately Noelle glanced towards Mimosa's and frowned. I, it's fine, I am still growing," Noelle thought as she looked at Mimosa's chest with an envious look on her face. "And Noelle-san? Is something wrong?" Feeling a bit scared by Noelle's gaze, Mimosa asked Noelle if there was some problem. "No. There is no problem. Let's just go and join them." Mimosa nodded, and the two royal girls soon joined their squad mates. At the same time, at another part of the hall, Yami walked towards the two captains and called out to them. "Yo, Fuego Leon, braided bangs." Hearing Yami calling them so casually, Nozel frowned a bit, not because he found Yami annoying but because he felt a weird rumbling in his stomach. "Yami, it's rare to see you at the decoration ceremonies." Fuego Leon walked towards Yami, feeling oddly surprised to see Yami attend the decoration ceremony. "The idiots from my squad don't usually come here, so it's not important to come anyway." Saying so, Yami took a puff at his cigarette and noticed someone from the corner of his eyes. "Oh, it's Her Cold and Prickly Majesty. Can you please be silent? You are very annoying." replied Charlotte with a cold look on her face. Why yummy? What is he doing here today? He never comes to ceremonies like this. Talk about harsh. You're never going to find a guy who'll marry you with that attitude. Averting her gaze from Yami, Charlotte closed her eyes and thought, why did I insult him again? More importantly, how can you say something like that? Oi, braided bangs, what happened? You are not looking well. Looking towards Nozel, who had a slight frown on his face, Yami asked in a casual tone without much change in his expression. Narrowing his eyes towards Yami, Nozel turned back to his expressionless self. I am totally fine. Nonetheless, I never thought to see the foreigner here. Why the hell are you all being so surprised by me coming here? Well, your regular absence from decoration ceremonies is nothing new. Even though it is compulsory for all the captains to attend. Hey, I don't see all of us gathered here? Even Van Jans is not here. Saying that, Yami looked around searching for a familiar mask-wearing man. That is indeed surprising. Van Jans is always present for the decoration ceremonies. Must be busy, taking a dump or something. Said Yami as he looked towards Nozel, who frowned at him. What? Shut that disgusting mouth of yours, foreigner. Huh? What's wrong with taking a dump? Even you must be taking one from time to time as well. Who knows that you want to take one right now as well? Saying that, Yami immediately covered his mouth with his hand and tried to hold back from laughing while Nozel's frown deepened at Yami's words. TCH, men really are disgusting. Charlotte looked at Yami with a cold look, who looked back and stared at her. Feeling Yami's intent gaze, Charlotte looked away with a blush on her cheeks, feeling embarrassed on being stared at by Yami. I should have asked the brat to use that spell on Charlotte too. Yami thought as he continued to prevent Nozel from getting away from the room. Asta, you told me that you would behave. Replied Asta with his mouth filled with food. Never mind, just forget it. OAI. Looking towards Asta, who was eating without any care to the judging and piercing stares, Sek sighed and looked towards Yuno. So, how does it feel to know that you and that idiot grew up and came from the same place? Asked Sek. Who are you talking about? I don't know him. Replied Yuno with his usual expressionless face. Yeah, I will say the same thing when someone asks me about him in future. Sek-san, want to try this? I think it tastes good. Turning their heads, Yuno and Sek saw Mimosa standing with a cup in her hands. Is that so? Thanks, Mimosa. Taking a sip from the drink that Mimosa offered, Sek smiled and said, Yup, it tastes great. Thanks. Mimosa smiled at that and started talking to Sek as well as she slowly and unconsciously closed in the distance. So she is the bitch, hey. Anne thought as she saw Mimosa trying to get closer to Sek. Looking towards the table, Anna took some things to eat as well and took a bite. Seems like you are enjoying, Anna. Yes, I am enjoying. The food is great, Sek-kun. You sure are great to ignore all those gazes and act as if everything's normal. I am used to those gazes. What about you, Sek-kun? You are not bothered by them as well? Hearing her question, Sek leaned in towards Anna and whispered in her ears. Well, it can't be helped. My greatness is bound to receive envy, you know. That's how the world is. Yet, muttered Anna with her expressionless face as she tried her best to hold herself back from turning her head and accidentally touch his lips. I really want to take him somewhere with just the two of us. Anna thought, but just sadly smiled as Sek moved his face away. I should get something as well. What do you think will be good, Secr? How about this? Getting interrupted by Anna, Sek looked towards the black-haired girl holding out her hand with a plate in it. Is that so? Well, let's go and get a plate. Here, open wide, Sek-kun. Am I getting the harem protagonist treatment? Sek thought as he looked at Anna, who was looking at him with a serious expression on her face while holding something bite-sized in her hand. And after waiting for about half an hour, I finally heard the splashing sound and a huge load got off my body. Stop talking about taking a dump already, mentally yelled Nozel as he saw Yami laughing out loud and telling him about his adventures. Arg, I really want to go. And this foreigner? Where are Fuegoleon and Charlotte anyways? Thought Nozel as he looked around, soon noticed that both of them were gone back to their respective squad members. Hey, how dare they leave me with this foreigner? All of a sudden Nozel felt some weight on his shoulder and turned his head only to find Yami with a glass of wine in his hand. Now let me tell you about the time when I was on the battlefield, when all of a sudden I felt the urge to take a dump. I really want to kill this man. Nozel thought as he looked at the tactless Yami telling him his story, as the rumbling in his stomach started to intensify. Oi Nozel, your face is really pale. Are you sure that everything is fine? Asked Yami. Humph, keep your hands to yourself. Nozel snorted as he shrugged Yami's hand off his shoulder. You were bothered about that? Then why do you have that "I really want to take a dump" expression on your face? What kind of nonsense are you spouting? Said Nozel in an angry tone as he was starting to fell, press sunrised. There is no shame in that, you know, just go if you want to go. Humph, just be quiet. There is a certain class that I have, though I guess that someone like you would not understand that. Oh, he is really feeling it. I know that look. That brat's spell is really dangerous. Yami thought as a shiver went past his spine. Yami, who was lost in his thought, missed Nozel, who was clutching his stomach and walking slowly towards the exit, since he felt that if he took any longer the pressure would do a huge damage to his reputation. Chapter 62, Noel's Siblings. Sek and the others, who were eating silently while maintaining a certain distance from the mannerless mannerless boy, finally started to hear the mocking comments made by the nobles. Noel, you hear them? That's what you sounded like when we first met. I am gonna kill you if you mention that one more time. How much longer are you gonna do that? Said Noel as she glared at Sek, who has been reminding her the same thing again and again, and it doesn't help her since what he was saying was true. Don't know, it will take a while for me to forget that. You left a pretty strong impression on our first meeting. Oh come on. Well, they say that the first impression is the last impression. So deal with it. And it's not like your first impression could be any worse than that idiot's. Saying that, both Sek and Noel looked at their fellow rookie with his mouth filled with food. I can already see that in the future he will be called a mannerless magic knight. This stuff's really great. Said Asta as he finally swallowed what he was eating and then immediately started stuffing his mouth. I really can't argue about it. Said Noel as she looked at Asta with a disappointed expression on her face. Why would the Wizard King even invite such low-class scum? Haha, the way he is eating is totally unsightly. I don't even feel even an ounce of magic from him. Them capturing that dungeon must have been sheer luck. Man, listen to them tear into me. Good thing I'm used to it. Said Asta as he heard the others. PSST Noel, do you have good relationship with that silver hair lady? Nabra Onisama, well. Perfect, then I will say it without censoring it. That bitch is annoying. Said Sek in a whisper, making Noel feel a bit surprised by his sudden words. Filthy peasants. Said one of the nobles, but got no reaction from Asta. You alright, Anna? Asked Sek. Yes, their comments don't bother me much. I was asking about you being so close to me that your shoulders and arms are constantly touching in a way that my plate was about to fall a number of times, but okay, it's alright if you are fine. I am glad. Said Sek as he looked at Anna with a smile on his face. It's really getting hard to hold myself when I am this close. Thought Anna as she stared intently at Sek, who looked back at her wondering why she was staring at him. Is there something on my face? Yeah, just stay still. Said Anna as she tried to wipe Sek's mouth, only to get her hand swatted away by Sikre, who stared at the Crimson Lion Magic Knight with her usual cold expression. Seeing that all the people who were near Sek looked at Anna and Sikre with surprised look on their faces. Wiping his mouth on his own, Sek thanked Anna with a wry smile on his face and apologized for Sikre, who just sat on his shoulder. We are the ones who embody Lord Vengeance and the Golden Dawn ideals. And speaking of peasants, don't the Crimson Lions have one of them as well? Said the Golden Dawn member as he looked towards Anna, who simply ignored him and focused on Sek. With all due respect. That goes for you as well, Klaus. Aren't you ashamed, being here with your lack of skill? And you, Mimosa, I heard that you were wounded early on in the dungeon and left the front line. To think that your royalty of Vermilion line is laughable. Oh, so nobles shit talk other nobles as well, you learn something new every day, hey. Muttered Sek. I am terribly sorry. Said Mimosa. No, Mimosa was. Seeing his superior glare at him, Klaus, who was trying to defend Mimosa, stopped and looked down. Now. The most useless fool here, is you. Said Noel's older brother Solid Silva as he walked close to Noel. Wouldn't you agree? Said Solid as he poured the glass of water on top of Noel's head. But before the water fell on top of Noel's head, Sek, who was standing beside her, moved his hand and made a cup of his bronze magic to prevent the water from falling on Noel's head. Seeing what he did, the whole room turned silent, as even Noel, who didn't know what was happening, started to get anxious since her brother didn't do anything to her. Drinking the water that he got in his cup, Sek looked back at Solid, who was looking at him wide-eyed. Thanks for the liquid, Mr. Solid. It was quite an experience to know that nobles usually don't pass the glass and just its contents. I will remember that. Said Sek with a smile. Wa Solid Nii-sama. Noel, who finally heard her brother's name, turned around to see her brother looking at Sek with an angry expression, while also noticing that all the people in the room were staring at Sek. Do you even know what you just did? Asked Solid. Drank the water that you just offered? Oh, I see, it was meant for Noel, hey. I apologize for not taking that into consideration. At first I thought that you were going to pour water on Noel's head, but remembering how classy and elegant nobles, not to mention royals, are, I didn't think that you will do something so immature that us commoner kids do in their childhood while playing. So I thought that it must be something else that I am not familiar with. Said Sek. Hearing that, all the people who clearly knew what Solid was trying to do looked at him with a pitiful gaze, while at the same time the nobles looked at Sek with angry expressions on their faces. Sek really is brave. Muttered Klaus as he looked at Sek, who was now the center of attention of the whole room. Being at a loss of words to say to the commoner who just insulted him, Solid glared towards Noel and thought, it's because of her that I am humiliated. Humph, coming back to how useless you are. You can't even control your magic. You're such an embarrassment. Said Solid as he ignored Sek and decided to deal with him later. Backing her brother up, Nabra walked forwards as well, and with a grin on her face started insulting Noel as well. Meanwhile, Sek started looking around the room and thought, Yami-san is just looking at us with a bored look, probably observing how we deal with this situation. Good thing is that Braided Bangs is not here in the room, and knowing how good my spell was, he wouldn't be here for a bit longer. But all of a sudden Noel, who was insulted a bit too much by her siblings, turned around and started walking out of the room, making Sek snap out of his thoughts. Crap, I got trailed off in my thoughts. Asta, who finally stopped eating, grabbed Noel's arm, stopping her, and said, there is no reason to run from these jerks. Asta. So much for the promise to behave here. Said Sek as he saw Asta stand up on top of the table. You two should move a bit away from the table. Said Sek as he looked at Mimosa and Anna, who nodded and stepped back. Asta, who was totally pissed at the people in the room, started to use his protagonist's talk magic. But before the overpowered magic could take effect, one of the members of the Golden Dawn used his own magic and wrapped Asta in sand. That's enough, you scoundrel. You shouldn't even be allowed to talk. Silence. I won't shut up. Yelled Asta as he used his anti-magic sword to slice through the sand. Listen up, you all. I am going to pile up merit, become the Wizard King, and shut you all up. Yup, things can't go peacefully even if you try your best, thought Sek as he sighed, seeing his monoless friend on top of the table. The whole room turned silent as all the people looked at Asta with an expression on disbelief. Becoming the Wizard King. Don't make us laugh. Saying so, both Nabra and Solid's grimoires started flipping. Water binding magic, sea serpent's coils. Solid used his magic without any hesitation and a big water serpent appeared and started to move around Asta before rushing for a strike. Ice debuff magic, frost touch. Using his magic, Sex touched the body of the snake, freezing it in an instant. Don't look at me, you started it, said Sek as his grimoire started flipping. Fire debuff magic, blaze touch. And immediately magic energy gathered in Sek's hand and melted the ice snake, making water to spill on the floor only to evaporate the next instant. Mist binding magic, mist spider's threads. Seeing her brother's spell being cancelled easily by Sek, Nabra changed her target from Asta to Sek and fired her spell. Ice debuff on my left hand and fire debuff in my right. Touch the incoming mist in order and everything will be right. Ooh, that rhymed, said Sek as the incoming mist turned into water and then evaporated as well. Hey, you know the rules and so do I. Wizard King told that they are his guests, so let's not act rash, though if we are going to continue just make sure that I won't stay silent, said Sek as he glared at Noel's siblings. Meanwhile, at another part of the Magic Knight's HQ. Why are there no toilets close to that room, thought the captain of Silver Eagles, who being under the pressure was not able to walk easily, much less fast. Chapter 63, Fight Against the Nobles. A mere commoner to stand in my way, looks like I need to deal with you first, said Solid as he glared at Sek. Turning towards Solid, whose grimoire started flipping pages, Sek sighed as his other grimoire started floating as well. Oi Sek! Asta, stand back! Let me handle things from here. But... Holy water bullet! And immediately a stream of water started moving towards Sek at a great speed. Gaster blaster, said Sek, and a bronze animal-like skull appeared in front of Sek and fired a beam of magic energy towards the incoming bullet, piercing and destroying the water bullet without any difficulty. Seeing how easily his magic got crushed, Solid frowned and immediately gathered water to make a shield in front of him. But contrary to what the onlookers were expecting, the beam passed through the shield as well and landed on Solid's gut, knocking the air out of it. Sand creation magic, sand armored guard, called out one of the Golden Dawn members as a huge knight-like figure made out of sand appeared around Asta and held his body in its arms. To act in such cute way at a festive occasion like the decoration ceremony, you will be punished. X days extend, said Sek as he unsheathed his sword and pointed it towards the sand guards and cut of its arms and freeing Asta out of its grasp. Retract. So you will continue to act like an idiot too? Honestly, I thought you were the smart type. Guess I was wrong, said Sek as he looked at the Golden Dawn member. Mist magic, solid mist clones. Using the opportunity when Sek wasn't looking at her, Nabra used her magic and created a number of clones around Sek. Oh come on, shadow clones really? Alright, if we are going down that alley, they. Sand restraining magic, sandbox. And immediately a large amount of sand started gathering around Sek. Shadow clones, sand coffin, alright then I will add on to this party as well, believe it. Magic bullet, giant raise nan. Gathering a spiraling mana orb in his hand, Sek slammed it on the sand below him, throwing it around, and then turned towards the clones and fired the orb towards the real Nabra, who immediately panicked and jumped back, making the orb crash near her feet, causing an explosion which sent her flying and destroyed all her clones. Art is explosion, fool ya fool, said Sek as a smirk appeared on his face. What are you laughing at? Who the hell do you even think you are? Said Solid as he glared at Sek with hatred. If considering the decoration ceremony that happened before this nonsense, then I will say that I am a higher ranking magic knight than you, said Sek as he shrugged his shoulders. Why you? I'm not holding back anymore, said Solid as he started gathering his mana to fire his spell. Sensing the amount of mana that the royal was gathering, Sek narrowed his eyes a bit and then glanced towards Yami, only to find his captain digging his nose without a concern on his face. Well, if we are going all out then, Vritra, said Sek as back gauntlets and leg guards appeared around Sek's limbs. Water creation magic, sea seer. What is going on here? Suddenly hearing the cold voice, Solid's face immediately turned pale, whereas Sek also got surprised after hearing the familiar voice. Turning their heads towards the door which opened just now, all the people in the room saw Nozel looking coldly at them. Glancing around the room, Nozel's gaze fell upon Nabra, who was looking bit roughened up because of Sek's earlier attack, and immediately his mana started to pressurize his surroundings, making everyone except for the captains and Sek motionless. Feeling the large amount of mana gathered in his surroundings, the tentacles from Sek's sacred gears came out and started to move around close to him, absorbing the mana around them. Looking towards Sek, Nozel started walking towards him with a cold look on his face. "Are you trying to shame the name of the Silva family?" asked Nozel. "I have no such intentions. I don't know what those two have in their mind though," said Sek while glancing towards Solid and Nabra. Stopping for a bit and looking towards his siblings, who averted their eyes on meeting Nozel's, the captain of the Silver Eagles soon ignored them and turned back towards Sek. "A commoner that foolishly tried to disrespect royalty, how shall I punish you?" said Nozel in a cold tone. Sek, who was facing the man with weird bangs, didn't even tremble from the pressure that the man was giving out, and instead was about to push back as well. Oi, what nonsense are you even talking about, dumbass? You were not even in the room when all the shit happened." But all of a sudden Sek felt familiar rampaging mana around him and turned towards the man who interrupted the captain of Silver Eagles. Yami walked towards the two of them while releasing his own mana and smoking a cigarette. "Don't stand in my way, foreigner," said Nozel as he pointed his hand towards Sek. "That's enough," called out another voice, which made Nozel stop releasing his mana and glance back at the man who joined the conversation as well. "You should know about the situation before you take action on it," said Fuegoleon as he looked at his fellow royal. "You should be ashamed of yourself, not only as a magic knight but as a royal as well," said Fuegoleon. Yami, who retracted his mana as well, walked towards the two captains as well while giving a pat on Sek's shoulder on his way. "Good job, dumbass," said Yami as he walked towards Nozel and Fuegoleon. Relaxing a bit, Sek felt a presence behind him and turned around and saw Leopold standing there staring at him. "Ha ha ha ha, it's just as Mimosas said. You're quite amusing. All right, rejoice. I, Leopold Vermilion, declare you my rival." Looking at the self-declared rival with a deadpan look on his face, Sek deactivated his sacred gear and said, "What a drag," and slumped his shoulders. Chapter 64, The Self-Proclaimed Rival. Just as Leopold declared Sek to be his rival, the Dark Lord gave an annoyed sigh and turned towards Asta, who was still holding his swords. "What are you waiting for? Keep those swords back," said Sek, hearing which Asta realized that he was holding his swords and kept them back in his grimoire. "You idiot, I told you to behave when we were here. And you, how can you wimp out for all of a sudden?" said Sek as he smacked both Noel and Asta, making his fellow rookies HD their heads and groan in pain. "Oi! It was their fault for. Stop it, Bakista," said Noel as she shut Asta's mouth with her hand so as to prevent him from pissing of any more nobles. "I am sorry, FO. Nope, no apologies will be accepted. Once we get back, you two need to get straightened out. This idiot needs to learn how to behave, and as for you, Noel, looks like we need to make you grow some spine so that you can handle whispers these assholes on your own from next time. We can't have you breaking down in front of them every time we meet," said Sek with a smirk. Asta and Noel looked at Sek with mild surprise as his tone, which seemed like he was scolding them, changed all of a sudden. Both of them nodded their heads and didn't say anything further, since Noel felt that what Sek said was true, and as for Asta, he simply forgot about what he was angry about. As expected of my rival. Helping his squad mates to get them on the right track. I like it," said Leopold as he nodded sagely. The trio rookies from Black Bulls looked at Leopold with a deadpan look on their faces, not knowing what the hell he was talking about. "Sek, bring us to right track," thought Noel. "Hey, what the hell is this idiot spouting? Right track my ass," thought Sek. "That guy is wearing even more makeup than Noel. Nobles are weird," thought Asta. What was your name? Keek. Leopold-san, it's Sek. He's Sek-san, said Mimosa. Haha Sek, eh? That's a great name, my rival, said Leopold as he slapped Sek's shoulder. Earlier I saw him using this hand to pick his nose, thought Sek as he glanced at the hand that was smacking his magic night robe. Haha, come, now. Rejoice. Rejoice, said Leopold. Ah, he is so forceful, and stop slapping that hand Oni robe, thought Sek as he took a deep breath and said, I am a huge freak who like maids more than anything else. All my favorite books are about maids and I visit maid cafes every single day and I like maid figurines too, and in my spare time I wear maid costumes and breathe heavily while I stare at myself in the mirror. See. Saying his part, Sek gave a nod and walked away from the royal, not noticing Anna, who was hurriedly writing something in a notebook. Oi, wait, said Leopold as he grabbed Sek's shoulder, whose face scrunched up as he saw the same hand again his other shoulder as well. Oh come on, I was sure that speech would have left you disgusted and make you keep a distance from me, said Sek in an annoyed tone as he shrugged Leopold's hand off his shoulder. Haha, I am not someone who will easily give up against my rival. Whisper, and on the occasion of us being rivals, let me tell you this, I like maids as well. Whisper, that was not the point of my words. Whisper, don't tell me, you don't like maids. Whisper, of course I like maids. Seeing Sek and Leopold whisper bicker to each other, Sek's friends looked at them with a confused and weird look on their faces. As expected of Sek-san, to be able to get along with Leopold-san so soon. To not only be able to meet Sek-kun but learning about one of Sek-kun's taste. This ceremony is getting better and better, muttered Anna. Secret, who sitting on top of Noel's head because of fight, glanced towards Anna and thought, I know most if not all his tastes, and just looked at Anna with a mocking look on her face, though her expression didn't change much from her usual one. A royal acknowledging a commoner as his rival, said Nozel, gathering the attention from most of people in the room. Hearing that Fuegoleon started defending his brother by giving logical explanations, but the other royal didn't even cared about his opinion and both of them started to release their magic. Amidst all this, Yami and Sek moved away from the crowd and got close to a wall with a serious look on their faces. Oi brat, are you feeling that as well? Unfortunately yet. Good, said Yami as he used his mana skin to strengthen his body and punched the wall, destroying it immediately. This surprised all the people who were present in the room, but both Sek and Yami ignored them and jumped through the newly made hole as Sek looked back at the others and said, "Enemy attack!" And then followed Yami. Falling down through the sky, Yami and Sek looked at their surroundings and saw the destruction that was done to the capital as both of them immediately narrowed their eyes. Yami-san, save the idiots and show hell to the dumbass, said Yami as both of them landed on a nearby roof. I will go that way, said both of them in unison as the two of them stared at each other with an awkward look on their faces. I will go that way. Once again the two of them pointed in the same direction and said that at the same time, causing another awkward moment. A few veins popped up on Yami's forehead as he grabbed Sek's head and clenched it tightly. Go that way, dumbass, yelled Yami as he threw Sek away with full force and then started running in the opposite direction. Fuck you, Yami-san, yelled Sek while he was still flying in mid-air after being thrown away by his captain. Chapter 65, Saving the Citizens. Sek, who was approaching the ground at a great speed, took out his grimoire and prepared to land in front of a group of zombies who were moving towards the citizens of the Clover Kingdom. Bronze magic, bronze body. Everybody stay calm, yelled Sek, but the citizens didn't even heard him because of panic. Realizing that, Sek took a deep breath and yelled, everybody stay *king calm. Suddenly hearing the loud noise ordering them to stay calm, all the citizens looked up and saw the incoming Dark Lord and widened their eyes in surprise. It's a magic knight, magic knights are here, declared one of the people who saw Sek coming towards them. Smirking after noticing that all eyes were on him, Sek started thinking about making an entrance and shifted his body in mid-air and clenched his fist tightly. Predicting to land in midst of the group of zombies, Sek didn't held back and with his enhanced strength punched the nearest zombie to the ground, causing a rather strong tremor which made all the nearby zombies fall down while raising a huge dust cloud. Shielding their eyes because of the sudden event, the citizens slowly opened their eyes and looked towards the dust cloud with a hopeful expression on their faces. Do not panic and try to stay close by. There are other groups of creatures like these in the surrounding areas as well, said Sek as he walked out of the dust cloud without any scratch, making the citizens sigh in relief, which soon turned back into shock when one of them commented, "He is a black bull." Seeing the sudden hesitation in their eyes, Sek's brows started twitching, but knowing full well why that happened, Sek sighed and turned back towards the zombies. "Don't worry, you are currently under the protection of the Dark Lord," said Sek so as to reassure the scared and panicked citizens as his sacred gear appeared. Many tentacles started to surround his body, which soon shot forward towards the zombies and restrained them, preventing them from moving any further. "Absorb," muttered Sek, and immediately the tentacles around the zombies started sucking out their mana, and in a few moments the zombies turned back to ash. Seeing that the magic knight, despite being a black bull, took down the strange people chasing them, made the people widen their eyes in surprise, and soon some of them started cheering while many of them thanked Sek. Sek retracted his tentacles and then spread around and started absorbing the mana from the flames that were burning down the buildings, and soon got dome with his surroundings. "Alright, now let's get to the next area," thought Sek, and was about to run away, but suddenly he felt someone pulling his hand and looked down and saw a group of children and people surrounding him. "Oni-san. My mother, please save her," said a young boy with tears in his eyes, and snot from his nose. "Wipe your face, kid," thought Sek as he took out his handkerchief and wiped the boy's face. "My son and his family too. They are caught in the other area," said an old woman with a worried look on her face. "My papa too," said a young girl who was crying in a woman's embrace, whom Sek presumed to be her mother. "Oi, you are not going to leave us here, right? Who knows when more of those guys will appear?" said a man, hearing which many others started raising their voices as well. "Well, this is a mess," thought Sek as his grimoire started flipping pages and mana started gathering in the area. "I am sorry, but I need to take care of other areas as well. You all can either follow my lead or do whatever you want. I don't know how long will it take for the other magic knight to arrive here, since I came to help as soon as I felt something was wrong," said Sek. Saying his part, Sek fired a line from his sacred gear towards the roof of a house, and them got onto the top as well to get a better view of the area. Making a mental map of the surroundings, Sek landed back down and said, "All right, you all, in order to be safe and sound, you all would be doing this." Explaining to the people while leading them towards a safer area, Sek made sure to keep out any zombies and put off the fire if he saw one in his way. Many other people joined the group as well, and amongst them many of them got reunited with their families. Most of the new people who joined his group were skeptical of following a black bull, but knowing that it was their only saving grace, they followed him and were glad that they did. They dropped seeing him as a black bull and started recognizing him as the strong and brave blonde magic knight who saved them, and reached out to them before the magic knights from the other squads. Sek, being unaware of their thoughts, was busy ordering a group of people who had magic, which was helpful in putting out fire and saving people from under the rubble, while also letting those who could heal, help the injured, while making sure to keep the zombies far away from them. Man, it is a huge hassle to handle such a large group, thought Sek as he looked at the huge number of people behind him and frowned. Because of being in such a large group, he had to make sure that no zombie from any side gets close to them, and this, coupled with clearing the rubble, putting out fire, and calming the injured, was getting too much for him. In order to overcome that, he decided to let the people help out as well, since he was sure many of them would have some magic that would be helpful in the situation, and did exactly that too, only to regret it as soon as he asked them to do so, since now he had to monitor if these people were actually being helpful or not and look after them as well. How long are the others gonna take? Just take them off my hand, thought Sek as he suddenly felt his pants getting pulled and sighed. He looked down towards a scared kid who has been pulling his pants for a while, to the point where Sek was afraid that the kid would take his pants off. "What now?" asked Sek. "Oni-san. That. What is that?" said the kid as he pointed in a direction, making Sek look there as well. As soon as Sek noticed what the kid was pointing at, his eyes widened and a big smile appeared on his face. "That kid, is my prayers getting answered?" said Sek as he saw a huge humanoid creature coming towards them with 3 people on its back. "All right everyone, other magic knights are here. So don't panic. They are magic knights," announced Sek as he saw the people starting to panic after seeing the huge golem. Walking towards the earth golem, Sek was about to call out and ask them to lead them to safety zones since he didn't know where to take the citizens. But instead of speaking, his eyes widened in surprise as he noticed that the golem was not slowing down, and he could feel that it had no intentions to do so as well. Frowning a bit, Sek looked back, stood aside and looked towards the tanned woman who was controlling the golem with a glare, who glanced back at him and gave a snort in response, totally ignoring Sek. "I really want to slap that man-hater bit," thought Sek, but was surprised when he saw the tanned woman getting kicked off her own golem by a familiar black-haired Crimson Lion magic knight who jumped off the golem as well while making sure to kick the man-hater off the golem as well. "Sek-kun, are you all right? You are not injured, right?" asked Anna, totally showing what her priority was to Sek, who just smiled and said, "Nope, and good job faking that accidental kick." Sighing in relief that Sek was alright, she gave a small, nearly unnoticeable smile to Sek as she thought, "She is lucky that I didn't tan that bitch in my flames." Thanking her, Sek walked back to the group of citizens who were following him and notify them that the people who just came really were magic knights, since many of them turned hostile towards the people who tried to attack Sek, who saved them. Seeing the situation, Sek just blinked his eyes in surprise, since he didn't believe that they will stand up against other magic knights for a black bull. The Dark Lord's charm is too great, thought Sek as he started reporting the situation to Charlotte, ignoring Sol, who was glaring at him, who ignored Anna, who was glaring at her. Chapter 66, Let me catch a break. "Captain Charlotte, I have cleared the area around here. The fire has been put out as well," said Sek as the captain of Blue Rose looked at the Black Bull Magic Knight before turning towards the people who were looking at her with a mixture of emotions. Fear, lust, relief, admiration, anger, confusion, jealousy, respect, etc. Though anger, relief, and lust were the more prominent ones. Nodding her head once, Charlotte looked back at Sek and said, "Good work. This will easily make others look over how you and that brute just jumped off after busting through that wall. I followed what my captain told me to do," said Sek as he glanced at the few kids who were stuck to his legs trying to hide behind him. "Oi, what did you say to Nasan?" said an angry soul. "Don't scare the kids, they are already having a hard time to deal with all this," said Sek as he glared at the tanned man-hater and adjusted his pants, which were being pulled by the kids, who were surprised by the soul's sudden outburst. "Soul, shut up!" calmly said Charlotte as she glanced at her subordinate. But said Soul as she tried to voice out her displeasure, but stopped as she noticed the looks of anger from many people. "Hey, don't be scared, I will protect you, but I won't be able to do that if you all pulled my pants down, you know," said Sek as he tried to calm the kids down, who just looked back at him with a scared and pleading gazes. Smiling helplessly at the kids, Sek slowly freed his pants from their hands and looked back at the crowd of people behind him and then turned towards Charlotte. "Do you know where to take the people in situations like the one we have here? I don't think staying in one place with these many people is a good idea," muttered Sek. Charlotte, who heard what Sek said, nodded, seeing which Sek sighed and looked back at the crowd. "We will. All right everyone. We will be going to a relatively safer place. Get back into formations like we discussed earlier. Those who have injuries, do make sure to get yourself healed up and not hold back the whole group. Make sure to keep an eye on the kids. Keep your guard up." Not even giving a chance for Charlotte to speak up, Sek gave orders to the people, which made them go back to what they were doing before Charlotte and the others came along. "Captain Charlotte, please lead them. Being a new recruit, I don't know where the shelter is," said Sek as he looked at the blonde captain, who just looked at Sek and thought, even the subordinates of that man's squad don't listen to others. "Soul, use your magic to lead the group. As for the two of you, We will be keeping a guard from all sides. I will cover the back of the group while you two take a side each as well. Sek, Sol, and Anna gave a nod as both Sek and Anna immediately walked away and took their sides. Seeing that, Charlotte looked back at Sol, who used her magic to make a huge golem and got on top of it. Follow them, ordered Charlotte as the citizens started following the earthen giant, seeing which Charlotte got back to observing the surroundings and soon took her position as well. Meanwhile, at other districts, other magic knights arrived as well and started to deal with the zombies and take control of the situation they were in. Asta along with Noel and Leopold were watching Fuego Leon deal with Raids, who was spouting some nonsense about his magic being greater than any noble and all. Soon enough, Fuego Leon defeated and restrained the former Purple Orca member, which made all the zombies fall down lifelessly on the ground, making the magic knights the winners of the first battle. Sek and Anna, who saw that the zombies that they were about to fight fall down without even taking any attack, were surprised and started looking around as they noticed that the other zombies were falling down on the ground as well. Looks like someone defeated the caster, said Charlotte as Sol kicked around the lifeless bodies, spouting something along the lines of how only she was allowed to touch Charlotte's body. The news soon spread amongst the crowd as they started cheering the Magic Knight squad who saved them. Needless to say that the popularity of Sek was higher amongst the group who were saved by him, as some of them also cheered for Charlotte and Anna as well. Now this is what being a Dark Lord really is, said Sek as he nodded sagely after hearing the people thanking and cheering for him. The kids who were following Sek earlier were now looking at him with shining eyes, as some of them even told him that they were going to become a magic knight like him. Seeing the totally innocent and admiring gaze of the children, even Sek felt a bit embarrassed as he scratched the back of his head and said, "Sure, I know that you all can do it. Work hard and make sure to be safe." "Yes. Thank you Nii-chan," said all the kids in unison as they gave Sek one last group hug, which something that Sek returned with a defeated sigh and thought, "I really am feeling glad that I saved these kids." A small smile appeared on Sek's face as he hugged the kids tighter because of the excitement and said, "You guys really made the Dark Lord happy." "Ah. Too tight. Too tight. Oh sorry." Immediately breaking the hug, Sek apologized to the kids with a helpless smile, seeing which the kids laughed at the blonde man and soon went back to their families. Now being the handsome, manly, and attractive Dark Lord Sek was. Not to mention the suspension bridge effect from the recent event, many people from the crowd glanced at Sek with suggestive gazes. But before Sek could notice any of those gazes, Anna appeared in front of the people who were glancing at Sek and just looked back at them with a total silence and an expressionless face. Many people were confused by what was happening, but some of them soon backed off. Seeing that the weak-willed were down, Anna smiled a bit before she looked back at the people who were still looking at Sek and thought, "I really want to release my magic to scare them away, or to make them disappear for good." But soon she snapped out of her thought as she heard the voice of someone she was familiar to. "Anna." "Yes, Sek-kun." Immediately turning towards Sek, Anna looked at him with a small smile, trying to be welcoming, since one of her fellow squad members told her that she didn't look welcoming at all. Sek ignored the weird smile on Anna's face as he crouched down and placed his hands on the back of two girls beside him. "These two want to say something to you." "Me?" Tilting her head in confusion, Anna looked at the two girls who were fidgeting. The two girls looked back at Anna and took a gulp. "TT, thank you for saving us earlier," said the girls in unison as they bowed their heads in front of the Crimson Lion Mage. Widening her eyes in surprise, she looked back at Sek, who just smiled seeing the surprised Anna and shrugged his shoulders. "You are welcome. And it was my duty to save you too," said Anna as she looked back at the girls who just smiled at the female magic knight before running back to their families. Seeing the kids run back to their families, Sek gave a pat on Anna's shoulder and said, "Looks like you got 2 fans. Good job, Anna." "Thank you. But I think that you got many admirers as well." "Well, you can't help that. It is me after all. I am great and am just built different," said Sek with a shrug of his shoulders, but soon his eyes widened in shock as he sensed a lot of mana below his feet and noticed a black portal appearing below his and Anna's feet. "Let me catch a break for Fu*k's sake," said Sek in an angry tone as he noticed a similar portal appearing below Charlotte's and Sol's feet. Chapter 67, Strong and Superior. Feeling his legs sinking in, Sek's sacred gear appeared around his body and tentacles started extending out rapidly. He then looked forward and saw Anna's breasts right in front of his face as she closed in towards him to protect the blonde Dark Lord. Nice, thought Sek as he saw the hypnotic jiggle in front of him. But soon he snapped out of trance and immediately hugged the Crimson Lion Magic Knight tightly as the tentacles that were already latched onto some building pulled them out of the portal. Phew, that was close. You alright, Anna? Anna? Asked Sek, only to notice that the black-haired girl whom he saved just now was embracing him. Yes, Sek-kun. I am fine. Thanks to you, said Anna as she placed her head on Sek's shoulder and did something that Sek presumed to be sniffing him. Though that thought soon disappeared from his mind as he immediately turned to look towards the place where Charlotte and Sol were standing. Looks like they were unable to escape, muttered Sek as Anna lifted her head from his shoulder and looked towards the same direction. The caster is too talented to pinpoint the magic knights and make a portal directly under them, said Anna as she squinted her eyes. Oi, dumbass! Suddenly out of nowhere, Sek heard a familiar voice and turned his head and found Yami standing on top of a roof while carrying Charlotte over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes. Yami-san! Were you not pulled in by a portal? Nah, no portal appeared below me. I was coming here anyway and saw you all getting sucked in and just saved the prickly queen on time, said Yami. Ha! Looks like the enemy thought that there was no use pulling you in anyways and just ignored you. What did you say, you dumbass? That aside, why didn't you try to save me? Am I not the one and only Dark Lord of your squad? Hey, no way I would have done that, said Yami with an expressionless face. Hey, that hurt my feelings, complained Sek as he looked at Yami with a hurt look on his face. His gaze then fell on Charlotte, who was a blushing mess and was panicking while still being carried by the captain of the Black Bulls. Soon his gaze met with hers as both of them stared at each other for a while, with Sek being calm and Charlotte turning paler and paler by the second. Soon Sek turned his gaze from the captain of Blue Rose and looked towards Anna, who was staring intently at him. He is just a bit away from me, thought Anna as she continued to stare at him, but soon a small smile appeared on her face. Seeing the unexpected smile on her beautiful face and that too at such a close distance, Sek was surprised and felt that his heart started beating faster. But out of nowhere, Sek felt another presence closing in on him and turned his head only to see a blur pass by him. Wow ow ow! Turning back to his side, Sek saw Sikre, who came just now, sitting on his shoulder and pecking Anna's hand of Sek. Whoa! Sikre! Stop! Stop! Hearing his voice, Sek stopped for a bit, but only after making sure that Anna let go of Sek. She then looked back at him with her usual expressionless face and saw a few scratches and dust and dirt on his face. She wiped the dirt off his face with her wings and then smacked him with the wing as well. Hey! What was that for? Complained Sek as he looked at the anti-bird, who just averted her gaze with a snort. Oi, dumbass, stop fooling around. We are going, ordered Yami as he put Charlotte down, who was glaring at him with a slight blush on her cheeks. Coming, Yami-san. Replying to his captain, Sek retracted his tentacles and got ready to follow him. He then gave a glance to Anna, who stood up, glared at Sikre, but soon nodded her head as the two of them jumped down on the streets and started running towards where Yami and Charlotte were rushing off to. While running, Sek felt a huge burst of mana from the opposite direction and immediately looked towards Sikre, who was sitting on his shoulder. That spirit power is bullshit. The amount of mana that just came out is different from what came out of him at the dungeon, thought Sek as he could feel the current amount of mana that was available for Yuno's use. And it was way more than Sek had at his disposal. But he is still not better than the Dark Lord. If he has a fairy, then I have a dragon inside me. Though it does still not awaken, but still I am better than him, thought Sek as he felt a bit jealous of the elemental spirit that was in the possession of the Wind Mage. He also tried to call out to the dragon within him, but as usual, the dragon didn't respond to his call, making the Dark Lord a bit pissed. Because of that, Sek unconsciously increased his pace and soon his grimoire started floating beside him. Bronze creation magic, bronze bike. And immediately his motorbike appeared in front of him. Not wasting a second, Sek took his seat and channeled his mana through the vehicle, which gave out a loud noise like a roar, making the captains and Anna look at him. "Yumi-san, I will be going ahead," said Sek and rushed off without waiting for a reply. Yami just stared at his subordinate, who just rushed off without his approval and started slowing down. Seeing him slow down, Charlotte slowed down as well and asked, "Why are we slowing down? That brat needs to break his limits soon," was all that Yami said as continued to run slowly towards the location they were heading towards. Sek, who had a serious look on his face, was driving at a fast speed. He soon saw the figure of Asta and Leopold fighting off several robed mages and got prepared to take them down. Bronze creation magic, weapon make minigun plus lightning debuff magic, paralysis touch plus ice debuff magic, frost touch. Sek's hands started glowing as both of his hands transformed into miniguns. One was slightly bluish while the other was slightly yellowish. Magic gathered in the hand-turned weapons as the barrels started rotating. Magic bullets started firing rapidly out of the guns and headed towards the robed mages, who were still unaware of the incoming Dark Lord. "You guys are just unlucky to be facing Dark Lord when he is not in the mood to drag out the fight," muttered Sek. "Arg, what was that?" was all the robed mage who got hit by the first shot could say before his body stopped responding. A layer of ice appeared all around his body. Soon the other joined their frozen homemade, as only one of the robed mage who stopped the bullets in time using a lizard made out of a gel-like substance. "Oh! This is some interesting magic, just like the anti-magic," said the bespectacled girl in the robes as her gel salamanders started freezing up. All of them who saw the people around them freeze up looked towards Sek, who was now close enough that the bike's noise became audible to them. "Sek! My rival! TCH! Another magic knight! Oi Valtos! Can you not even do a simple job?" yelled a guy with an eye patch. Sek, who noticed that he missed a few of them, transformed his hands back to normal and increased his speed. Soon he jumped off his bike and let it run straight towards the frozen gel lizard as he landed in front of Asta. Taking X-Dace out of his sheath, Sek pointed it towards the remaining enemies and started charging his sword. Just as his bike crashed against the frozen gel lizard and broke it, Sek fired the stored mana towards the remaining enemies. Bang was all that came out of his mouth as a beam shot forward out of X-Dace's tip, blasting the people that got hit by it in the walls. Frost touch and paralysis touch. Gathering the mana on his fingertips, Sek fired multiple magic bullets wrapped in his debuff magic towards the people whom he just attacked and restrained them as well. "There, all done," said Sek as he looked around his surroundings to check if he missed anybody else. Meanwhile, Asta, Noel, and Leopold were looking at Sek with their mouths wide open. The evident shock of how easily Sek took down all the people who they were having difficulty against made the two Black Bulls remember once again how strong and superior their squad's Dark Lord really is, while Leopold was just left speechless after seeing the actions of his rival. "Stop showing off that mana already," thought Sek as he could still feel the spirit's mana in the surrounding. Chapter 68, Don't Cry. After finishing his job of taking care of the mobs, Sek looked back at his squad mates and noticed that they were quite beaten up. His gaze then fell on Noel, who was trying to stop the bleeding from Fuegoleon's arm. His eyes narrowed a bit as he took X-Dace out of its sheath and focused on the mana stone embedded in it. "Seeing that I was not captured by them means that they have yet to know about the mana stone that is in my possession," thought Sek as he looked towards his side and noticed Yami and the others running towards them. Soon Yami and the others arrived and Anna immediately started checking Sek's body for injuries. After she made sure that Sek was fine, she sighed in relief and then looked around. "There are quite a number of mages around here." "Yeah, and they were well trained as well. If all the magic knights that were present in the capital were to be teleported away, they surely would have destroyed the capital." "You are saying that they were trained but you took them down quite easily?" Leopold said as she looked at Sek with amazement, but soon he frowned and looked towards his armless unconscious brother. Seeing his gaze, Sek and Anna looked towards him as well. Sek then gave a pat on Leopold's back as the three of them moved towards the fallen captain. "How is he? Is my brother fine?" asked Leopold as he looked at Noelle, who was trying her best to stop the bleeding. "He is not the kind of person who will fall from something like this. Have some trust in your brother," Yami said as he looked at Leopold. Sek stared at Fuegoleon for a while before he turned around and ran towards one of the frozen mages he fought against. Absorption line, blaze black flare. A whip encased in black flames shot forward from Sek's gauntlet and wrapped around one of the frozen mages. Soon the man defrosted and was about to attack, but before he was able to, Sek pointed his finger at him in the shape of a gun and fired a mana bullet at him. "Debuff magic, sleep." And immediately the man fell and went to the land of dreams. He then grabbed the man by his collar and dragged him towards Fuegoleon and the others. "Oi, what the hell are you doing?" asked Leopold as he looked at Sek with a strange expression. "Making sure that your brother can FAP once he wakes up." "What? Just get to the side." Saying that, Sek dropped the man beside Fuegoleon and then gestured to Noelle to get away from him as well. Noelle followed and got away from Fuegoleon as Sek crouched down near the man and removed the cloth around the wounded region, making Leopold frown. "What are you doing?" asked Leopold with anger in his voice, but Sek ignored the ginger head and made some preparations. Soon the pages in his grimoire started flipping as he touched both Fuegoleon and the man he brought. Body debuff magic, damage transfer. Reciting the name of his spell, his hands started glowing as a pained expression appeared on his face. Seeing that he was doing something to his brother, Leopold tried to barge in and stop Sek, only to be stopped by Yami, who just focused on his subordinate. Anna too decided to stop Sek since she saw the pained look on his face, but stopped herself from doing so as she didn't want to stop Sek from doing what he chose himself to do. She believed in him and believed that Sek knew that something like that would happen, yet he decided to do so. "I will stop him if it looks like it is going to be dangerous," thought Anna as she clenched her fists to stop herself from doing something reckless. Meanwhile, Sek, who was using his magic, was suffering from an infuriating amount of pain as he was transferring the damage that Fuegoleon sustained to the enemy mage through his body, and was himself feeling that pain that Fuegoleon would have suffered. Soon the other noticed the glow on Fuegoleon's severed arm and widened their eyes in surprise as they saw that the arm started to grow back. They looked at Sek with a shocked expression on their faces, while Yami continued to look at them seriously and thought, "His spell is like Julius's, but it looks like he is suffering from pain himself as well. He sure is gutsy one to do something like this." Sek looked at the glowing, regrowing arm and clenched his teeth. He really wanted to scream out loud because of the pain, but stopped himself from doing that since it would look uncool for the Dark Lord to scream out loud from pain. "Damn it! This is hurting like hell. I too want to just fall unconscious like him," thought Sek as he looked at Fuegoleon with an envious look on his face, but didn't stop his magic. It was not very Sek-like to give up midway, and it was his mentality that made him continue the process despite the pain. A few minutes passed by as Sek continued to heal Fuegoleon. Sek, who was finally about to finish the healing, started getting excited. He clenched his teeth, and as soon as Fuegoleon's arm healed, Sek looked towards the other man and transferred all the pain that he gathered into his body. Immediately after that, the other man's arm got severed just like how Fuegoleon's was, and blood sprayed out of his body. "I am done." Declaring that the process was over, the other got excited but soon got shocked after seeing Sek fall on the ground while holding his arm and the sudden shower of blood that happened because of the man's arm being cut off out of nowhere. Anna and Noelle immediately went to Sek's side as they saw the Dark Lord holding his arm, which was hurting like hell, while tears gathered in his eyes, which were being held back by Sek. "Can't cry. Dark Lords don't cry from pain," thought Sek as his grimoire started flipping and he pointed his finger at his forehead and used a spell. "Debuff magic, sleep." And in an instant, his body loosened up and he fell asleep without caring for the question that the people around him had. "Oi dumbass! That blood ruined my pants!" yelled Yami as he looked at the unconscious Sek, whom Anna picked up and laid his head in her lap while patting his head. Chapter 69, It Feels Good. Sek, who was unconscious after using his spell, was sleeping calmly without any care of the world. Anna, who sat down and decided to give him a lap pillow, was silently patting his head with a small unnoticeable smile on her face. Seeing the scene of his partner lying unconscious in Anna's lap made Sekre slightly pissed, though she still stopped herself from pecking a hole in Anna's head as she didn't want Sek to be disturbed. She slowly flew down towards Sek and landed on top of his chest and stared at the unconscious Dark Lord's face. While this scene was happening with the Dark Lord, on the side the other magic knights were looking at Fuegoleon's regrown arm with awe. Leopold was hugging his still unconscious brother tightly while muttering his relief and thanks to Sek. Asta, being Asta, was happy seeing that Fuegoleon was safe. Noelle was blushing furiously as she was supporting the injured bare-chested Asta's body. Charlotte was wrapping up the man whose hand was traded off for Fuegoleon's. And Yami was looking at his pants, which were soiled by blood, with an annoyed look on his face. "Geez, I bought these just recently." "Oi dumbass, I will make you pay for it," said Yami as he looked at Sek. Seeing him asleep, Yami took a whiff of his cigarette and then looked around the surroundings. "Still, looks like it all ended quite faster than I expected," said Charlotte. "Oi, prickly queen, don't you know something troublesome happens when those kinds of words are said at moments like this? Shut your disgusting mouth. Anyway, we still need to find the other magic knights. We don't know where they are, but they must be teleported quite far away," said Charlotte as cursed at Yami. Why do you have to sound like that, Charlotte? Yami will hate you if you keep acting like that," thought Charlotte as a chibi Charlotte rolled around in her imagination while holding her head. While the two captains were talking to each other, one of the mages who attacked the kingdom, a bespectacled girl whose body was encased in a layer of ice, glanced around her surroundings. "Ah! I was right to cover myself with my gel magic before that spell hit me. Still, this magic is fabulous. I want to get my hands on that boy and do some research. Also, I want Asta as well. His anti-magic is something way more interesting than any magic that I have seen," thought Sally as she looked at Asta and Sek. Asta is injured and that boy who attacked us earlier is unconscious. It is the best time to catch them. But I don't have a way to get out of here since Valtos is captured as well. Seeing the unconscious and weakened lab rats, Sally started to get tempted but made sure to not catch their attention since two captains were nearby as well. Let's ask Rie, thought Sally as the magic communicator that was present near her ear lit up. "Ria-san, we got caught, help us," was all that Sally said without thinking twice. Just as Sally used the magic communicator, Yami's eyes turned sharp as he immediately used Ki. Sensing Sally's movements with Ki, Yami looked at the frozen girl with a slightly serious look, which made the supposed to be frozen girl widen her eyes a bit in surprise. Yami sighed and blew out a smoke cloud from his mouth. He then took out his katana and said, "Oi, prickly queen. This is why you should never raise a flag." Hearing his words, Charlotte looked at him with a confused look on her face but soon frowned as she felt the disturbance in the mana around her. A huge black portal appeared around the frozen mages, and people wearing the same kind of robes as the frozen ones came out of it and started attacking the magic knights. Dark magic, dark cloaked avidya /. Yami immediately intercepted the incoming attacks with his own, and seeing that made the other magic knights snap out of the trance as they got prepared to fight as well. "Ah! More of those wit cloak guys, Cam. I will be taking you, Asta," declared Sally as an arm made of gel launched towards Asta and engulfed him immediately, successfully trapping the mana-less boy. "Asta! My other rival! Now the other one," said Sally in an excited tone as she looked at the unconscious Sek and launched another slime tentacle. "Sek! My original rival!" Noelle and Leopold looked at Sek with a concerned look on their faces since they knew that he was still unconscious. They followed the tentacle that was moving towards Sek at blinding speed with horror in their eyes. Fire magic, raging flare. But before the tentacle could get even anywhere near the unconscious Dark Lord, a wave of fire engulfed it and destroyed it without much trouble. Noelle, Leopold, and Sally looked at the scene with surprised looks on their faces. Meanwhile, Anna, who was looking at Sek with a loving smile while gently patting his head, suddenly looked up at Sally with a cold expression on her face. "Try touching even a single strand of Sek-kun's hair and I will turn you to ashes," said Anna with a threatening glare as her grimoire started floating beside her. Sek, who felt the sudden temperature change, frowned a bit but remained asleep, albeit he looked a bit more uncomfortable than before. He started moving around to get back into a comfortable position and started adjusting his body. Anna, who was feeling his movements, felt ticklish as Sek moved around, but for some reason, she felt happy and hot from time to time. "Ah, that won't do. I need him for my research, so give him to me." Gel magic, sticky salamander. Using her magic, a high amount of gel gathered around her as Sally got on top of the huge salamander and looked down on Anna, who looking back at her. "Salamander, go!" Pointing her hand forward, Sally made the salamander move towards Anna and Sek. "Seems like you won't listen peacefully," said Anna as she looked down at Sek. "Don't worry, Sek-kun, I will give my 100% and won't let anything happen to you," said Anna with a smile on her face. But just as she said that, the smile on her face got stiff and so did her whole body. Anna, who was looking at Sek with a smile, suddenly turned silent as she felt something. She turned to look behind her and was speechless at what she saw. Sikray, who was worried about what suddenly happened to Anna, decided to look at what Anna was looking at, flew on top of her head, and followed her gaze only to see Sek's hands on Anna's butt. "I am going to give my 200%, was all that Anna said before she looked forward at the incoming salamander. A slightly excited smile appeared on Anna's face along with a blush on her cheeks. Sek, who was still unaware of what was happening around him, started to unconsciously squeeze the plump and soft object in his hand. A high amount of mana gathered around Anna as her blush intensified. "Won't. That's cute lot of mana," said Sally with an excited look on her face as she looked at Anna. Charlotte and Yami, who were fighting the newly arrived enemies, also felt the huge amount of mana behind them and were slightly surprised that the one who was releasing that much mana was the peasant from Crimson Lions. "Oi, you two dumbasses! Take Fuego Leon and run!" ordered Yami as he fired another dark slash at the enemies around him. Noel and Leopold immediately followed Yami's order as they too felt the mana that was increasing around them to a dangerous degree. Fire magic, fire tornado. The chaotic mana that was surrounding Anna suddenly started to become dense, and in an instant, a fire tornado appeared near the salamander and started pulling everything around him towards itself with great force. Some of the unfortunate mages who got caught up in Anna's attack tried to resist being pulled away. But in the end, the suction force of the tornado was too strong for them and countless bodies got engulfed in the terrifying spell and got burnt to crisp. Anna, who looked at the huge fire column in front of her, was totally speechless. She then looked down and looked at Sek and thought, "I got a bit wet, it feels good." Chapter 70, Better. After the tornado made up of fire subsided, the robed people who weren't caught in the attack immediately rushed away from the magic knights, and soon black portals appeared below them, allowing most of the robed magicians to escape. Meanwhile, the Dark Lord, who was drooling while fondling something soft, was being glared at by Sikray, while Anna was looking at him with a slight blush on her cheeks. "If only I was in my original body," thought a certain anti-bird as she looked at her partner who was sleeping in someone's lap. "Sek-kun is looking so happy. Ah, it's making me happy as well. His hands are so big and rough, yet his touch is oddly satisfying," thought Anna as she looked at Sek. The other magic knights looked at the black-haired girl who used the huge fire spell. Suddenly were still a bit shocked, except for the captains who were now busy capturing the robed magicians who were left behind. Later that day, Sek, who was unconscious for quite a while, finally started to wake up. "It's fine, just leave him to me. You must be tired, right? I am absolutely fine, so you need not worry about me." Sek, who was starting to regain his senses, heard two people near him who were most likely bickering. "What's the hell is going on?" thought Sek as he slightly opened his eyes and tried to lift his body. "Sek. Sek-san. Sek-kun." Seeing Sek finally gaining his consciousness, his friends around him started making a ruckus. They were both happy and worried about him, but Sek just ignored his surroundings as he still felt a bit groggy after waking up. Secret. Immediately asking about his familiar whom he was not able to find anywhere, Sek started looking around only to see that a lot of people were around him, and for some reason Anna was directly in front of him with their faces just a bit away from each other. Secret, who heard her partner call for her as soon as he woke up, made her a bit happy as she flew off Asta's head and landed on Sek's shoulder. Feeling the familiar weight on his shoulder, Sek looked in its direction and smiled at seeing the familiar expressionless anti-bird. So there you were. Wait a minute. After finally realizing what he was doing before he fell asleep, Sek jolted up and looked around carefully as he saw the magic knights from the decoration ceremony all around him. Judging by my surroundings, I guess that the situation is stable for now, said Sek as Klaus gave a nod. Sek, are you okay? You aren't injured? Asked Klaus. Sek-san. Are you all right? Are you injured somewhere? Does it hurt somewhere? Asked Mimosa, who dashed past Klaus, who just fell to his side by the sudden impact. I am totally fine. No pain at all, said Sek with a smirk. Then why did you fell unconscious? Asked Klaus. Well, let's just say the pain of having your hand cut off and then making it grow slowly is not something you would like to experience, unless you are into that stuff, said Sek with lifeless eyes as he looked at his arm, which suffered from the extreme amount of pain. Hearing his words, the ones who didn't witness the situation got pale and glanced at Sek's arm, while the others who did witness the scene of Sek healing Fuegoleon were still shocked after hearing what Sek experienced because of his spell. Sek's gaze then fell on Anna, who was still sitting on the ground, and asked, "What happened, Anna? Are you injured or hurt somewhere?" "No, my legs are just a bit numb," said Anna as she, Asta, and Noelle explained how she took care of him once he fell asleep. Hearing that, the Dark Lord immediately crouched down to match Anna's eye level and said, "Thank you for taking care and saving me. And I apologize." But before he could finish, Anna raised her hand and placed it on Sek's mouth. "There is no need to apologize. I did that because I wanted to. So don't apologize to me. Your gratitude is enough for me," said Anna with a small smile on her face. Sek looked at her for a while before he nodded and stood up and extended his hand for her to get up as well. Anna took his hand and blushed as she remembered the hand which groped her butt earlier. Secret and Mimosa looked at the two of them with slight envy as Secret just slapped his head with her wing. "Ow! What was that for?" Sek, who got the sudden wing slap, looked at the culprit only to see the bird look back at him before she extended her wing and caressed Sek's cheek. Sek sighed seeing the familiar action and realized that the bird on his shoulder was worried for him as well. He smiled at Secret and thanked her before he looked back at Anna, who stumbled a boy because her legs were still numb. Immediately catching her body, Sek looked at her face, which got buried in his chest, and was about to ask something when he felt the girl taking a deep breath. He was about to ask about what the hell was she doing, but before he was able to, Julius and Marx came, which gathered everyone's attention. Even Anna stood straight but was still leaning against Sek as her legs were still not responding. Julius then explained the situation about Fuegoleon, who, just as Sek expected, was still in a comatose state. He also explained about the duty of the Magic Knights and what the people expected from them. Soon Noelle's siblings left the group as Nozel led them with a slightly pissed-off expression on his face. Leopold then came out of the building by supporting his body against the walls and declared something about getting stronger and all. Asta. Sek. As fellow rivals who faced the life and death situation, I promise you two that I will get stronger. Stronger than you two as well, so make sure to not slack off," declared Leopold as he looked at the two Black Bull rookies. "Well, there is no harm in trying, best of luck," said Sek. "But just keep in mind, if you want to get anywhere close to the level of the Dark Lord, you need to throw away your humanity," said Sek with a grin as he pointed his finger at himself. Hearing that, Leopold grinned back at him with a look filled with confidence as Asta looked at Sek and asked, "Sek gave up his humanity? So Sek is not a human?" As if solving the biggest mystery, Asta pointed his finger at Sek with a shocked look on his face. Hearing his answer, the rest of the people near him looked at him with a deadpan look as they sighed. Really brew? Said Sek. Sek, what are you? Asked Asta. Obviously, better than you, replied Sek in a calm tone. Ha! What the hell did you say, you bastard? How the hell are you better than me? Well, for starters I am bigger than you. Ugh. How does that matter? That doesn't count. Oh. Yeah, I have a bigger sword than yours. Declared Asta as he took out his huge anti-magic sword. My sword is bigger than your toothpick down there, said Sek with a smirk. Asta, who took a few moments to realize what Sek meant, soon gritted his teeth and looked down, knowing that what Sek said was true, but there was no way he was going to accept that. He glared at Sek, who just smiled back at him.
Thanks for listening.